morning, campers. It is Monday. Welcome to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. I'm Tom Connors. With me is the boss man, Andre. How are you doing?
Greetings, everyone. I am doing excellent. It's a lovely Monday morning. Well, actually, it's a Monday afternoon, early evening where I'm at, but still a lovely Monday.
Yes, and according to Yippee-Ki-Yay, the sound is back, so that is good that the StreamYard people have fixed that. And also joining us this morning, we have Culture Casino. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. Having a great morning. I've got 4 more videos to release today and maybe a couple of shorts. And I'm here with all of you wonderful humans. So I'm good. Good. Ready to go.
All right. Also joining us, Mr. Paul Chato. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm ready to go. Yeah, baby.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Also on screen is Six. I don't know if she's sticking around or not, but good morning, Six. How are you doing?
Oh, her avatar wears glasses. I never realized it before.
It does. I don't
Tom,
think she
I told you to
realizes.
boot me. I said I had to go hang up my laundry.
I am so sorry. Jeez. I don't. Did she say that?
I
I'm
think
going to
she
get
was
a
muted.
boot to the head.
I think she was muted when she said it. I think because I didn't hear it.
I didn't either.
I like that one.
And that is how the sausage is made, everyone.
That is right. And then a little boot to the head. Oh, I didn't get the message. I'm so sorry, Six.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Sis.
Now I see it.
I take it she lives in a climate where she can hang out her laundry. There's a clue.
I don't
Yes,
know.
she does not live in the subarctics like us.
That was just a joke.
Although people in Newfoundland hang out their clothes in the wintertime and let the wind sublimate the water out of it. It's not impossible.
I have no idea. But with that, we do have some things to talk about. Speaking of cold, seems that Zachary Levi has been left out in the cold by a few people. We'll get to that. And Mark Hamill as well. Although that's a little bit different story, along with some others this morning on the program. But let's say hello to a few folks in the chat. We got Mr. Tickle Trunk hanging out with a wrench. We got Lauren Taylor. We got Haitian Falarudo. We got Natasha here as well. Doom Raiders here. Rambam 3000. Good morning, everybody. We got Putin's Cat. Hillis Mallory's here. Rocco's here. Mr. Popman's here. Sonder Hammerslag's here. Dr. Long Dongler's here. And he also sent us in a super sticker, which I assume is a thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Let the algorithm know that you're here. And let's see. We got Mizzy Buddy. QN is here. Miguel Farah. So many more. Hit that like button. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it this morning. Let's see who else is here. We got Callum Lyle here. And Callum says, Feige must be really desperate to get people from CW. Naomi, the same people that said 10 is the new 16 to write Daredevil. I'm not sure if I get all that, but evidently somebody from the CW is writing Daredevil.
I know exactly what he means. He's referring to the writers that we know of for Marvel's Daredevil. Because as you all know, Daredevil used to be on Netflix. And then Bob Iger announced that now Disney Plus is going to be a thing. And then Netflix realized, hey, wait a minute, that means you're going to be a competitor. So why the hell would we promote your shows for a competitor? Even if they're at our platform, we're still promoting Disney and everything else Marvel. And that's going to go straight to Disney Plus, not to us, so screw that shit. And that's when they canceled all things Marvel. They canceled Daredevil, they canceled The Punisher, they canceled Jessica Jones, and that was pretty much what they had going. Because, let's face it, Iron Fist wasn't coming back anyway. But then, several years later, the characters went out of moratorium, and Marvel could use them again. And it's funny, because at the time when Netflix canceled these shows, many were excited about what Marvel could do. Would they continue where Netflix left off? Would they be tonally the same? Would they also be TV rated MA, basically R rating for TV, or would they brighten it up a little bit? Well, now we know the answer, because Daredevil first returned in She-Hulk, and we all saw how that was. Like, he wasn't completely humiliated. Yeah, he had the walk of shame and everything like that, but he still got to kick some ass. He got to nail some She-Hulk ass and stuff like that first, so that's pretty manly, I guess. But then, now we see exactly who are the writers. And one of them is from this person right here, who have some pretty questionable quotes. In fact, there are many very questionable writers associated with the Daredevil on Disney Plus. Many CW, many wokesters, many people who specialize in gender and all kinds of stuff that really have nothing to do with the Daredevil show. Who will be writing a Daredevil show? So let's just say that the writers that Marvel has put on Daredevil doesn't quite match the caliber of the writers that Netflix put on Daredevil. So yeah, that's what this is about. And is Feige desperate? I don't think he's desperate. If Feige had been desperate, he would have gotten some actual talent. What we're seeing right here is something else. This is them giving Daredevil the same kind of treatment they've given everything else, I think. Desperation doesn't come into it. This is just poor management because their plan for the character is all out of whack, is what I would imagine. But what do you guys think? Paul, are you excited for Daredevil on Disney Plus? Do you think it can hold a candle to Daredevil on Netflix?
First of all, it will be impossible to match the first season. If it's as good as the second season, I'll be thoroughly happy. But even then, I don't think this crew has a hope in hell if all their writing style is CW. That being said, CW has its own limitations that they place on its writers because of their budgets, right? Although Daredevil is not does not have CGI in it, or not much anyway. Yeah, and it's got to toe the Disney line. I would strongly imagine that every single one of the writers have got a social justice get out of jail card, or they wouldn't be allowed to write for it. Now, it does not bode well for the show at all, and it's a huge disappointment for me.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I'm not surprised. We kind of knew this was probably going to happen, especially when we found out it was going to be 25% different Daredevil. But when they bought the rights to the Netflix version, that kind of threw me off. But that was that under Chapek's regime, Andre? Was that under Iger's? I was gonna say I thought that was under Chapek.
Yeah.
So there may have been a chance at one point, but then after the whole She-Hulk thing, my hopes went out the door for this show.
Yeah, no, if they wanted to, they could have made Daredevil season 4 because they bought the entire catalog. So they could just carry on and make season 4 with the same cast, same everything. There was no need to make any 25% difference after they bought the whole backlog from Netflix. At that point, they owned everything. And everything they choose to do different at this point is purely a creative choice and nothing else. Culture, your thoughts on this?
Oh, I had very low expectations going into all of this, but seeing as how we're now getting CW quality writers involved, again, you can definitely talk about the budgets, but I think since there's not really much budget restriction in a Disney production, I don't think you'll get anything better than what you got out of anything on the CW. I think this is going to stray so far from the original. You're right, Paul. It's not going to be anywhere close to the first season. It'll never measure up to even the second season. I think this is going to be another telltale signs to all the people that were artificially propping up Disney, with all of these superhero shows that are going to go, you know what? I think I'm done. I think this is going to turn off more people than it brings in. And you were watching the accelerated decline and the terrible decision making of all of these people involved, and it seems like Disney is the one that is going, and I think we've talked about it before. I think Disney's the one that's going to continue along this same path, regardless of how detrimental it is to them in the future. And I feel like this is just going to be another indication of it, and might even actually just expose it fully. I have no hopes for this show now, and not that I had high hopes to begin with, but you bring in, you know, a writer from Naomi or whatever, and you're dooming your project. And like Paul said, it's probably their social justice get out of jail free card will be out there all the time. In fact, it's not even that; it's a shield. They're just going to hold up their social justice shield, and they'll guard themselves, you know, from everything, and including all the criticism. Because preemptively, I already see it coming. I think you guys probably do too. They're going to attack us. They're going to attack us because we want this thing to represent the comics. And when it doesn't, they're going to say, well, we're an ist or a phobe or whatever. So just be prepared.
Well, and the funny part is yeah, like, I think that the whole reason they were doing the 25% different thing from the start is that Feige wanted to put his stank on it, right? He didn't like that Jeff Loeb got, you know, a lot of praise for that, I'm sure, and that it was one of the more praised.
Accidental hit, basically.
Yeah, and now when he does this over here, when he does his version, which is going to be the lighter, more, you know, whatever version we got after we've seen She-Hulk anyway. Like, you know, it kind of goes into what I brought up on the screen here is Patrick's confused why they don't just bring in the same writers. Well, a logistic reason is some of them might not be available just for, you know.
But if they wanted to,
like they're hired. But like, yeah, like for the most part, like, yes, I was just going to say, it's totally on Marvel and Feige in doing this. They are doing this on purpose. It is not like they couldn't bring back most of the original writers. And like Andre said, it's not like they couldn't just pick right up and do season 4, but it sounds like they're actually recovering or retreading ground they already have done in the first few seasons of Daredevil. Just so, like I said, to me, it feels like Feige just wants to be able to do his own style.
Has Disney done of late any male character that was very testosterone? Can anyone think of one?
Well, the closest thing is actually Daredevil. The only reason I say it is because
it wasn't Disney.
There was the walk of shame, but he did kick ass first and even nailed She-Hulk. So there's like that requires some level of testosterone.
But the the whole notion of Daredevil is that he's a vigilante. He hates what's happened in his city, in his community, and is going out of his way to get his ass kicked to try to help the people of his community. I mean, he's kind of a crazy guy, very Batman-y in a way. And that's what was enjoyable about him. They're going to, you know, in some ways that walk of shame, which, you know, it was a silly throwaway, but Disney keeps wanting to pull this, what I'm euphemistically now all calling the lightsaber being thrown over Luke's shoulder. Like, that's another moment where we really don't care about Daredevil. We'd rather get the one-off joke.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of brought up Thor as probably one of the only other characters that was at least testosterone driven until recently.
Yep. And obviously the Punisher, they're not going to know what to do with him. I mean, he's a madman.
I've heard some rumors about that, and I don't like them at all, because what we heard before was that John Bernthal, he had some requirements to return to the role. Like, it's very, very important to him that the character be done right, that the character appeal to the police, that the character appeal to the military. And all of this was fine up until very recently. But now, suddenly, Marvel themselves sees the Punisher as problematic. You had the Punisher's co-creator. What's his face? Help me out. The guy who co-created it. I have to look it up here.
Shoot, now just
give me a
by the time you find it. Yeah, I was gonna say by the time you find it now, somebody will get it in the chat too. But
yeah, exactly. Just pay attention to the chat and we'll see who finds it first. Who co-created the Punisher?
Mike Baron?
No, not Mike Baron.
The other guy.
Mike Baron,
Jerry
I would say
Conway?
he properly created the Punisher.
Gary
Jerry
Conway.
Conway. Jerry Conway is the one I was looking for. Jerry Conway, he co-created the Punisher in the Amazing Spider-Man issue 129. And then initially he created him as a villain sent out to kill the Punisher, kill Spider-Man, tricked to do so by the Jackal. And then the Punisher made several later appearances in Spider-Man as that same villain, still written by Jerry Conway at this time. However, he didn't have an origin story. His origin story was only prepped later on. And that was, see, I have that here as well, who did the origin story. Insofar as I am aware, the actual origin story was actually that also was Jerry Conway, I believe it may have been. So yeah, he came up with the revenge angle, everything like that. So but that's what he did. So he did the origins of the character and how he looks and everything. That was Jerry Conway. But the personality of the character from then on out were all a bunch of different writers. First and foremost, it was Mike Zeck. Then it was Baron. Baron was the one who really defined the Punisher, and then you have Chuck Dixon that further built upon that until Garth Ennis took it in a slightly different direction. And this is the iteration that is most people's favorite, I think, certainly my favorite. So between like Mike Baron and Chuck Dixon and Garth Ennis, that's where you have like what most people associate with the Punisher. Jerry Conway had nothing to do with that. He just did the origins. Honestly, his Punisher is among the shittiest. And he is now against the Punisher and the logo and everything. He even did like a BLM gay queer pride.
My guess is Feige is too.
Punisher to take
to
it
be
back
honest
or
with
something. And when you look in the comics right now, what Marvel is doing, they've completely changed the skull logo because it's so problematic, and they have had the Punisher join the Hand as a ninja assassin. So now the Punisher, in the comics, go around with a sword killing people with this samurai-like skull instead of the traditional skull emblem.
That's from Daredevil.
The traditional version to be problematic.
The Hand from Daredevil.
Yeah. So my big worry is, what are they going to do with him? And we haven't heard anything official about Bernthal actually having signed on as the Punisher. But I did hear a rumor from one of the out there sources and scoopers. We don't know if it's accurate. I hope it isn't. But according to this scooper, John Bernthal will reprise the Punisher for Marvel's Daredevil. So the Punisher will feature in it, according to this rumor. I don't know if it's accurate, but that is something that was reported by My Time to Shine Hello on Twitter, just so that we have all the credits right. So that credit goes to My Time to Shine Hello. That Bernthal is back. And that tells me either the Punisher will be done right, and Bernthal stuck to his guns, or Bernthal sold out and Marvel got their way, or the whole thing is bullcrap and the Punisher isn't there. I'm hoping that it's going to be the latter, honestly, because if there's one character in the MCU I do not trust Marvel to do right in this day and age, it's the Punisher. And if they do have him, how much you want to bet that he's just going to go after the intelligentsia of toxic fans?
Yeah. And that, my friends, is how we go 3 hours a show.
They're going to change the name.
We still haven't got to the main topic yet.
They're going to change the name to the Mistreater.
The Mistreater.
So it's a little bit lower than the Punisher. And not as nasty sounding. I am the Mistreater.
How about the Problematic?
Oh, the Problematic guy.
Or ouch! Don't hurt me.
Well, of course they had to put him in the hand, which is technically or generally bad.
Well,
So
they're
of course they had
ninjas.
to make him bad. Yeah.
Hands are ninjas. He's not a ninja.
Well, he's
Yeah, it's just
he's a
dumb.
ninja master. I
He's an
kid you not.
assassin,
He's like the
yeah.
master assassin for the hand.
Well, we have another guest joining us this morning. It's been a while since we've seen this man. Hello, Mr. Gore. How are you? Welcome.
I just woke up. These are the first words I'm saying.
Aw.
I'm not
Well, we're
kidding.
glad you gave them to us.
This is not a joke. I went a little hard watching the AFC NFC Conference Championship games. What can I say?
I think a lot of folks did yesterday.
Who won?
The Chiefs and the Eagles. So,
Oh,
Yeah, not the Niners. Not the Niners.
not the Niners, exactly. And then I fell asleep watching The Last of Us episode 3. So, and then here I am. So I don't know what that says. I'm going to watch the episode. It seems like there's controversy. So there you go.
I
Really?
got that impression. I can't wait to get fully caught up with that,
I'm
then
the
next
only person
Monday
who's
we
seen
do a
it.
full review on it. But meantime, Paul, since we have Chris here, can you just run through what was the controversy in episode 3?
The two gentlemen uvula tickling.
Oh, there you go.
Can we say that on YouTube?
That's
Playing
controversy of
console hockey. Console
hockey. You could say that too. Yeah, I think uvula tickling is more creative.
That works.
Usually that's where you cause the gag reflex, though. Is that what you're suggesting?
That's what I was going to say. Like tonsil hockey, I know is kissing. Like the other one, you don't know what is causing that.
Well, you need good reach. So the
Depends.
Is that you want my quick thoughts?
Yeah.
Sure.
Very quick thoughts, yeah.
You know what? To tell you the truth, I enjoyed the episode. My only comment is that if this is a one-off vignette, then I don't know what the point of it was, except for some stunting. But if this is a way to bring outside stories, one-offs in that demonstrate the effect of the plague on different people all over the world, then I'm all in. It's kind of a Plaza Suite technique where you go off and show two people in another room having their own lives being affected in their own ways, and that I don't mind at all. So I just have to wait and see if this was a one-off or will now using vignettes to show an expanded universe, which I'm all for.
Well, I saw the first half of the episode. It seemed like padding to me.
Yeah,
Padding.
I agree.
And we need 10 episodes or however. I don't know how many episodes the first season is, but it seemed like padding because, as you pointed out, Paul, what's the point? We visit these characters. A story is told. This is how this cataclysm has affected people. So, but what's the point? These characters aren't going to return. Are they going to pay off? I do like the character that was an episode, I believe it was the last episode previous to this, where you meet the scientist and she kind of sets up, you got to just like bomb the cities. That's the only way to stop them.
That's the other thing they didn't do in this episode, an opening sort of time machine thingy. The ending of this episode, the suicide note, is super important and quite powerful. So like I said, if it's a way to fill out 10 shows and they got a couple more in between vignettes, I don't mind. Like,
because let's be honest, like, look, this is Pedro Pascal doing it's the same role as the Mandalorian. Well, I have to escort this child thing, and once that mission is complete, what is the show? So first of all, by the way, I'm enjoying The Last of Us. I think it's great. I think it should be a limited series that tells one story, and maybe that story diverts from the video game because the second video game pissed a lot of people off. And I'm not going to get into it. I'm actually just started playing the first game, and I quite enjoy it. So I see why people like it, but also you set this up and there's a goal. Either you complete the goal or you don't. And then upon completion of the goal, you're done. They're not going to drag this out like Lost for 8 seasons or however long that went. Like it'll be really dissatisfying. So I think a lot of this, they just have to focus on making this, telling that one story. And if there's more to tell, sure. But I don't think that there is. I think that there's one goal in mind. Once they get to that goal,
and a video game works when it has a simplistic goal, whereas you can't do that in a TV series. You have to expand the universe. And I really enjoyed this episode. I didn't have any issues with it.
Maybe these characters will be more important later on when they try to
maybe
repopulate
as
the Earth.
Maybe as flashbacks.
And they need to figure out how to get gay men to actually help repopulate or something. I don't know. That's the only way I could think of, being gay playing into the apocalypse. Sorry, guys. I'm just saying.
Part of the problem is that our minds have been so poisoned by all this woke shit that we think there's an agenda around every corner. And I'm trying to prevent myself from falling into that trap and just enjoying something for the sake of it. I've already read comments from people who are so anti-woke that it's the opposite of woke. And now you can't enjoy anything. That I'm trying to really not fall into. So
yeah, I'm of course mostly joking, but obviously, I have not watched the show. I've never played the game.
Commenting for that. I mean, that's a legitimate comment, but we are talking about the show, and as a TV network executive, stunting is a completely legitimate thing. Oh no, Kirk, evil brother with the goatee, is in this episode. I mean, it's part of TV. So.
Oh yeah, we've had the discussion before about jumping shadows and worrying too
So I like the characters.
Too hardcore on some things.
It was a wonderful ending, but like I said, if we get one more self-contained vignette, then I'll go, okay, this made perfect sense, because the road trip is going to get boring really quickly.
Yes, they're walking. They're walking. How does this get in? And they have to get to a specific place,
right? Which I know.
There is there's an end game to this. So I think, how long are they going to drag out getting to the place? Will the final episode of this season have a cliffhanger? I don't know. So, look, I've enjoyed it. My expectations were very low, but you're right, Paul. I think that people have an instant knee-jerk reaction to anything that could be perceived as being woke, when this kind of content, existed way before there were those sensitivities in place. Do you see? I really see that a lot, where something, there'll be characters or some situation or something that could be considered, some,
diverse.
It's diverse, and it's but there was diversity previous to people using that word nonstop. That's what's actually really, I think the annoying thing is the way these things are promoted and portrayed. And when you see, like this whole Zachary Levi situation, I didn't even realize. I had to look it up. I'm like, why do they hate him?
Yeah. We'll get into Zachary Levi in a moment, because that's one of the main topics. And just to get us there, to round this off, I just want to point out that you're right. People are now hypersensitive to anything that can be misunderstood as woke. Like, oh, there's a gay character on screen, woke. Like, oh, there's a black character on screen, woke. No, that's not true at all.
No, it's the forced part.
Woke.
Yeah,
it's not woke until it's fundamental to the narrative, when the narrative is basically fundamentally racist in nature, and the narrative is separating people, when the narrative is doing segregation and dividing people, assigning value to them. That's what everything woke is. That's kind of like the defining trait of it. If that's not there, then I would say it's not really woke. However, that people see wokeness wherever they go and get so defensive to it, that's not the fault of anyone. That's something that we have to try to keep ourselves in check about doing, which shouldn't be necessary, but that so many do it, that is the fault of Hollywood, who has been pushing their agenda so far.
Yeah.
People are pushing back.
Correct. Yes.
And
that's, yeah.
Well, it's like Paul said, it's like then it becomes sort of the opposite of it, right? It's like people who see there types of people who see racism everywhere, where there is no racism. Like traffic lights are racist. You know, you could literally,
Yeah.
I guarantee you could Google anything in blank is racist. You would find
My favorite is math.
Yeah, math is racist. Like, but then it's like, you know, this is woke just because there are characters that are gay or they're as a mixed race couple or like things that are the, you know, that's maybe a sign, but that doesn't mean that it is that, you know, it's like, it's about it being kind of forced, or it's like that becomes the defining thing, like Paul was talking about. So there is a danger to that where you just see it, you know, but the seeing racism and everything has just become like, God, you groan at the stupidity of the people who think this way, but you can't go the opposite direction.
But you have to put the blame at the feet of people like Ibrahim Kendi, who pushed this anti-racism stuff, and now we're pushing back.
And the institutions that put it there. Let's be clear. Ibrahim X. Kendi, that's just like one of the foot soldiers.
Oh yeah,
but there's other that were.
Well, as I've pointed out before,
yeah, I mean,
this whole thing is
just... here in Toronto, a guilty white law firm, one of the biggest, is paying them $25,000 to tell all of them that they're racist and they'll be racist for the rest of their lives.
That law firm, that's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the real issue right there. Is that law firm and all other firms like it.
Yeah, and this is their virtue signaling, and you sort of combine all that and what Hollywood is doing and stuff like people demanding that Joan of Arc was actually a trans woman, and you go, oh, your brain is exploding, and then you see a show like this and you go, I can't deal with it, and you just have to calm down and go, think of it in its own terms, and it's getting harder and harder.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I can't be as forgiving, but I understand where you're coming from. You know, I'm insulted by the insertion of agenda in programming now, whether it be, you know, entertainment ventures or possibly even news. It's shading the opinions of a lot of things, you know, including some things that are going to have direct repercussions in our lives, such as AI and things like that. But we're well beyond a slippery slope, as you were describing, and Andre was reacting to this law firm. But this kind of entertainment is we still have to continue to call out for what it is. And again, I'm not going to try to yuck anybody's yum, but look, I'm all about, and I've said it before, I don't want to see ghosts in everything that I watch, right? I don't go looking for ghosts in programming. But when I see things that are clearly agenda narratively driven, I'm going to call it out. And this show, I told everybody from episode 3 onward, based on what I was told and some clips I had seen, this is playing out exactly as I expected. So it diverges wildly from the story in the game in this episode.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
I mean, again, like there's a difference. We've had this conversation numerous times. You know, I love when Paul does his classic TV guide episodes, because those show time and time again how Hollywood has tried to do these things in the past and whether it worked or not. But them acting like this is the first time they've done it is just bull crap, and that's the virtue signaling aspect of it. Then there's the forced aspect of it. And Star Trek Discovery is probably one of the better examples of what is woke, right? Because you have a scene where you literally get stopped in the middle of the scene for somebody to go, I would prefer if you used my pronouns. It's like, okay, we'd be so far past this shit.
Correct.
At that point.
We'd be using adverbs in the future.
Well, not only that, I think Robert Meyer Burnett has pointed out, like, there's
that was a joke, Tom. I needed a laugh.
I know.
You didn't give me a laugh.
Well, here you go.
Jimmer!
That's another stupidity part of Star Trek Discovery.
In the future, no more pronouns. We'll be using adverbs.
I want to know what happens to that guy when, you know, the ship goes sideways. Because, you know, even though they would have, like, you know, levitating wheelchairs by this point, if there was a medical reason for this guy to actually still be stuck in a wheelchair, like, that's just one of the many stupid things that woke shit adds to the table here, right? You know, the one that I always found that was the funniest is when Andre will bring up what was it, the Chernobyl show?
Yes,
people were freaking out about.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, there's not enough
because-
people of
Yeah.
color in Chernobyl.
Yeah, no, because the
Oh.
protest was like, "There's no. Why were there no black people?" It's like you make it as if there were no black people in Chernobyl, and the answer, of course, is that there weren't.
There weren't, no.
They're trying to be accurate to history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've said it before. Every time Greg Morris from Mission Impossible went behind the fake Iron Curtain country dressed up in whatever uniform that they picked for it, my dad, Hungarian father, was just howling with laughter. We never saw a black person behind in Hungary ever.
Well, and it's like, you know, with Star Wars, like everybody went after George for the original Star Wars, not the prequels, mind you. The original one, they're like, no black people are in this movie. He's like, huh, you're right. And he didn't do it on purpose. It was just a fact of where he shot the film just happened to not be a lot of black people.
Well,
And
Well,
they also like
true.
blamed him and trying to say that only British people were the bad guys. It's like, well, Alec Guinness also spoke with a British accent, but again, that's just because they shot in England. That's all they had to use was English
And
accent.
not just that. Originally, George Lucas wanted to get Toshiro Mifune to play Obi-Wan
Yes.
Kenobi
Yeah.
because he really wanted
Wow.
like someone who'd been in samurai movies. That was one of the people he wanted, but the studio did not want to cast in that role.
oh,
And
you're
so- and
kidding.
also, you're right.
Oh, that
Yeah.
would have been insane.
I think they were also pressuring for a name, right? So they wanted somebody who was established. Yeah.
Well, a name that
Which he was,
well-known
but like, yeah, like, you know, somebody who was like,
to
yeah,
film
big enough.
nerds. Toshiro Mifune
Oh.
was only known to film nerds, really, but that would have been cool. You're right.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Oh,
like,
that would have been insane.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think he almost played Mr. Miyagi too, if I remember reporting right.
Anyways. Yeah, the studio was really mad when they killed off Obi-Wan. Well, you just killed off the one star you had in the freaking movie.
I think Alec Guinness was more upset about that than anybody.
Was he?
Yeah.
That was Marsha Lucas's suggestion.
Yeah, it was her idea to do that because he's like, he's not doing anything.
We've gone off track here. Let's get back on track.
Yes,
All
we
right,
have. Let's
sorry.
get back on
Yes.
track. No, that's my fault as well.
Actually,
so
let's move on because I think we have covered everything we can
Yes,
say
yes.
about The Last of Us.
Let's
So
get to
move on
some
with
of
a few
these super chats, and then we'll get
and
into the main
topics.
topic.
Yeah.
Mario Trillo says, bending the knee only makes it easier to swing the sword. Good morning, boss man and bald man. Your insight is always entertaining and is always an entertaining comfort. Sorry about that.
Well, thank you.
Hail Midnight's Edge in the morning, and thank you. Yes, bending the knee is going to come up here shortly when it comes to Mark Hamill. Miguel Farah, speaking of Star Wars anyway, Miguel Farah says, Chato, today, Hungarian Chato or Romanian Chato?
No, it's Hungarian Chato today.
Hungarian.
Hungarian. No more. The Romanian was the other day.
And then we've got the C-Man here, who is now a member. Thank you so very much. Speaking of members, we got a member chat from Matthew W., who's been a member for 15 months. It says, Disney will continue to destroy everything and won't change until they are in the same situation they were in the early 80s with the vultures at the door. Well, that's kind of almost where they're at right now.
And also, if I may, I think that you're going to have to drag Iger away crying and screaming before anything really can change, because right now he's part of the problem and not the solution.
I agree. Cosmic Vader says, Andre, what would be the best Punisher comic in your opinion?
Oh, easy. The Max Run by Garth Ennis. So if you are new to the Punisher, you don't know where to begin, if you just want to... Okay, I'll give two recommendations. One is that if you're not familiar with the character, you just want to get into it to see what it's about, what you want to check out is a giant trade paperback that's called Welcome Back, Frank. That was Garth Ennis' initial run on the title, and it's amazing. If you really are into that, then I wouldn't continue with this direct sequel series. Then you want to upgrade to Garth Ennis Punisher Mac stories. These are, in my opinion, the finest Punisher stories ever told, because here Garth Ennis moves the Punisher away from the standard Marvel universe to kind of like our universe, to a universe where there are no superheroes of any kind. What you have is a grizzled old 60-something Vietnam vet Punisher that still goes out killing people, and he's been doing it for 30, 40 years. And then it's his continuing stories with that, with someone who is by now a serial killer and a total psycho. Those are the best Punisher stories ever made, and the ones I highly recommend. So again, for just a dip, welcome back, Frank. For the deep dive, the entirety of Garth Ennis' Max run.
There you go.
That's true for you as well, Chato. I mean, you would love those comics.
Yeah, I like the Punisher versus Nancy and Sluggo. That was was a good run.
You have to read Punisher versus Archie.
Oh yeah.
I'm not joking. That's a real thing.
Oh really?
Yeah.
It is.
Wow. Does he get Veronica?
Well.
You got Betty and Veronica at the same time.
Yeah, oh man. He's at.
Let's just make sure Mindy Kaling doesn't discover Nancy and Sluggo. That's terrible. Nancy and Sluggo are next.
Then it'd become Pritta and Sluggo.
Yeah. Oh man.
Don't you come near me. I will tell you, you cannot touch my daughter.
Oh no.
Yankee Doodle Dandy says, and Andre Tom, I'm a massive He-Man fan.
I just wanted to say, and now to all the people getting canceled, we can add Paul Chato.
I'm just moving along.
Sure.
He-Man fan, and I was wondering what both of you think how a He-Man movie would have turned out with Roger Corman directed. Oh, easy. It would have turned out the way the Cannon film came out.
Pretty much, yeah.
Basically.
I mean, just look at the Dolph Lundgren movie we have right now. That's how it would have turned out.
Pretty much. Maybe a little cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, you got
more of it would have been set on Earth.
Roger Corman was great, though. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
He was. Oh, he was.
So speaking of Canon, I'm going to be hanging out with 70s Rock fan and Austin Trench, the guy who wrote the Canon film guide, and
a special guest.
Yeah,
yes,
do we have
and
a link
Razorfish should be there as well.
Put in the description.
Yeah, it should be there. We should be starting at 5 p.m. Central Time tonight over on 70s Rock Fans channel. And I think tonight's main topics are going to be ninjas. So Conan Ninja. So Canon Ninjas.
All right. So maybe some Punisher in there then too.
Well, I think American Ninja's in there and Ninja 1, 2, and 3 and so on.
Yeah, you might as well.
And Punisher wasn't a Canon film. Punisher was a... or was that a Canon film?
Punisher's an American Ninja right now in Marvel Comics.
No, that wasn't a Canon film though. But who produced it? I can't remember now.
But it might as well have been.
I think it was that a Corman film though. No.
What, Punisher?
The one with Dolph Lundgren. Who produced it?
It came from New World, so actually,
that would be Roger Corman.
Yeah, it would have been Corman's studio. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, because it was made about the same time as.
But it was his studio.
No, but yeah, it was made at the same time as the Fantastic Four, because that's where I remember seeing that trailer.
Before, actually, the very first Marvel movie was the second. The first,
yeah, because after Howard the Duck,
the second was the Punisher.
Because I remember seeing the trailer for Fantastic Four on the video of the Punisher.
Carol Co.
Yep. All right. Anyway, moving on.
Picked up the rights.
We've got STR Red Wolf who says high caffeine coffee to Chris Gore. Stat.
I need it.
I think you need some. Right
now. Oh, just you're going to get it in the topics we're about to discuss here.
Speaking of topics we're about to discuss, David Amaro says, how about Mr. Repercussions?
To go along with Mr. Canoehead? Sounds good.
I like that. The Punish Mr. Repercussions.
That would be the new Punisher, yeah.
That's right.
The Waltman says, we already know that The Last of Us Season 2 is in the works, but we also know they will follow The Last of Us 2 game storylines. Oh, joy. Yeah, see, this is where I think a lot of the resistance comes in. I don't know for sure.
Is that confirmed? Is that confirmed that they're going to go with that storyline?
Yes.
I think, you could do that. I just don't think it's going to work. I think it's just going to lose the audience.
Well, Druckmann and his writing partner on this, the Shazven guy, or however you say his name,
Menzie.
Yeah, that guy. Anyway, they've done multiple interviews and talked specifically about that. So,
well, and this show is really popular from what I'm seeing. I guess it's one of HBO Max's highest rated, if not their highest rated show they've ever had so far. And yeah, I mean, I can understand that a large portion of the audience has never played the games, but if you get to that point, don't you think that whole Abby smash bit would be about as bad as the whole? And I'm talking about when she kills what's his face,
Joel.
Joel. Like, don't you think that would be received about as bad as the situation in The Walking Dead when what's his face?
They can't kill Joel off in a season 2.
If that's where the story goes,
no,
they
can't. Like, it's this TV thing that would kill them. That would be terrible.
Well, that's what I was trying to compare it to, is basically the end of The Walking Dead. I mean, even though the show kept going on, a lot of people said the show itself was a Walking Dead after that, after Jeffrey Dean Morgan killed that other character in the show, and it left a big, huge, like,
the backlash to killing off Joel was so bad in the second game that they must take some lessons from that for this TV series. Also, the TV series is TV. You know, you want to see Chuck Connors every episode. You know, this is a very different beast. I don't know. That's my thought.
I'm with you, Paul, but I'm like, I'll find some of the examples of the articles that were written around their very comments, but it's just, you know, and we always knew we were getting a season 2 with this show. So
it's beautiful. It's extremely well produced.
Yeah.
I'll be frank with you. I didn't play the game because I couldn't get into the mechanics. I'm a very simplified gamer.
Because you have no thumbs.
I have no thumbs. And as far as the show itself, I was never really going to be drawn to it because I'm not a big zombie person or zombie apocalypse kind of person. So like that the idea of that kind of turns me off to begin with. But knowing what I know about the game, that's what's keeping me away from it as well. So there's like, you know, beyond those other levels, I can understand where people are coming from in that respect. But frankly, people must be watching it. So, I mean, I keep hearing the same thing, though. It's like, it's good. But then all people can say is that this is not right or that's bad or whatever. I don't hear too often what's really good about it.
Right.
Well, we shall get into it when we cover it in more detail. For now, let's do a couple more super chats and main topics.
Cool.
That means you're gonna make me fucking watch it. I was gonna be nice and watch Picard for you, and be like, all right, I'll watch Picard this season, I suppose.
Yeah, I look forward to get into that. Actually, no, I don't, but we'll do it anyway. For Burnett, and then we'll give our honest take after that. But moving on.
Red Wolf has been here for 4 months. Thank you so much. Then we've got Mr. Tickletron. Says, we, the audience, hate fake sterile diversity. Yes. Yes, indeed. Andrew Smith says, Paul, it's not Boy Who Cried Woke. It's that this is all there is now. Episode 3 felt silly because Last of Us is about Joel and Ellie, and this episode wasn't about them.
Well, Chris also mentioned this too. Is this? We both said it. Is this filler? I'm not. I'm not beyond being convinced that it was.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's all there is to say about that.
And I'm sorry if you got a 10 episode or 8 episode, there shouldn't be filler. There just shouldn't be. That is not an excuse for any reason. Like this, it should not be that way. But anyway, yeah.
Well, the question is removing all the cutscenes and assembling them together rather than, you know, including the gameplay of gamers who struggle with different parts of the game. How many hours of gameplay was there? And you know, 30. There was I mean, you just look at it and you go, okay, why would you need filler in a, you know, this 10-hour window? You wouldn't. It is.
I mean, I understand back in the day when it used to be 20 to 24 episodes for a show. You're going to get those episodes, you know, where they have to spend a little less money. So there'll be a little less, you know, elaborate than most episodes would be per se.
But
Or you'll
TV
even
was
have-
also very simplistic. You take a look at
Yeah.
a really good wandering TV show was Kung Fu with David Carradine.
Yes.
So, you went to a new town.
Weekly problem.
And he would go,
The Hulk
I
was the
am
same
not
way,
here to
yeah.
hurt anybody. I am only into peace. And then whack, 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 whack.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what happened every single episode. I do not believe in violence.
But those never felt like filler episodes. Same
No,
thing
but
with the
there's also
Hulk.
old style TV. We're much more sophisticated than that.
Well,
We
but
can't-
that's my point, though, Paul. Is
do
we've gotten to this point where, and I have to go back and look. I'm sure it was either like AMC or HBO that's responsible for this, but this was kind of like this idea of turning a show into a long form mini series, basically, instead of it being an actual season. Started at that point, which was fine because then you would get these shows that were just chock full of greatness and not full of, ancillary bullshit episodes that we don't, are mostly forgettable. And I'm not saying most shows were that. I'm just saying like that's what you would suffer sometimes through when you would get a 22 episode run of a show. Frankly, you're going to get a bottle episode once in a while out of Star Trek, right? Where it's
Sure, of course.
but sometimes those would turn out to be interesting. I'm not saying they can't be, but my point is when you are sitting there with an 8 or 9 or 10 episode run, like 99% of these shows are now, there should not be any filler in them whatsoever.
Well, you have enough time to write them. I mean, you could end up with a "They Saved Joel's Brain" episode.
Right.
But I wouldn't know how to write this show primarily because it's not a comedy.
But on that note, yeah, Mecha J says the Tilu or The Last of Us, HBO has gotten a lot of praise now, but will the show still get the good reception when they adapt the very divisive, The Last of Us Part 2 storyline? Well, I just asked that question, Mecha J, in a way. But I guess an overall answer, well, we don't know until it happens, but again, I guess it depends on how many people actually stick around with the show and everything, and how many people find it problematic. And I don't think it'll go over well, because even those who are not fans of the game, I think it's going to be a similar. That's why I brought up The Walking Dead. I think it'll be a similar reaction to that.
Well, I mean,
and that's where he lost a large portion of their audience.
I didn't play the game, but I saw the entire walkthrough, and which I like doing on YouTube. It's enjoyable to watch walkthroughs, and the segment at the hospital was very short and very much a gamey thing in the game. Shoot 'em up. That could be expanded enormously. There's way more story around the hospital and what they were trying to do to experiment on people who did not contract or did not become zombies after being bitten. So maybe they're going to do something about that, because that was a wasted opportunity in the game. But again, you wanted to finish the game.
Good question here. I don't know if Paul wants to answer this since he comes from the industry. If Andre wants to tackle this one real quick. But Kelky is wondering what a bottle episode is.
Chris, we'll give this one to you, and then we will move into the main topics.
A bottle episode is when you realize, the producers of a show realize, oh my gosh, we spent so much money on that last episode. We need to do an episode that's going to cost not a lot of money. And it kind of came from Star Trek, where like the entire episode would take place like on the Enterprise, like sets that already exist. They didn't have to, create a new set. So it's a very simple episode of a show where you can see their budget cutting. It generally takes place in one location with a small number of characters. And all of this is sort of small. It's a smaller episode than a traditional.
They usually end up being flashback episodes too, Chris, if you notice.
They can be, but like, for example, the episode in Breaking Bad where they're trying to kill the fly, which is actually a really good episode, that I guess could be considered a bottle episode, because it takes place in one location with one simple problem, and kind of shows the dynamic between Walter and Jesse. Excuse me, but is that suffice as a definition, Paul?
I think so.
Yeah, well, Friends had it a lot, not a lot, but there would be episodes where they were told you're out of budget. We're not going to go to any other location.
Right.
You're going to have to do the entire episode on your flat, the one flat.
Yeah, exactly.
And they actually, it turned out that those were some of the most enjoyable episodes because they felt like a play.
Yeah. Like I said, some of them can be really good, but the lazy ones are usually where somebody will get either stuck.
Flashbacks.
Yeah, the flashback episodes. And Clerks, believe it or not, I'm going to give Kevin Smith some praise here. It's crazy, I know. One of the best episodes of television I've ever seen was the Clerks second episode of the animated series, because the entire episode was a flashback episode. The joke was they only had one episode to flash back to. So like that's ingenious.
That's pretty funny.
So, but yeah, those are technically what you would call the lazy bottle episodes, where somebody will either get knocked on the head and forget stuff, so the entire cast has to tell you the first season or two in little segments, or, you know, they'll get locked in somewhere and they'll, oh, remember the time, and then they'll flash back to a bunch of, those are like the cheaper versions. But you're right, like once in a while, like that Fly episode one, as people brought up, there's a couple other ones. One of my more favorite Star Trek episodes could almost be considered a bottle episode, and that's the one where they're stuck in the time loop, and it starts with a poker game. And most of the show, like none of it is like major.
Cause and Effect is the name.
Cause and Effect. Thank you. Yep. And again, that could be considered a bottle episode, but it's very well done. But you know, it's really simplified as far as like what it shows. It's all mostly one or two sets, and that's it. Yeah. Only a few characters too, from my recollection.
Yeah.
But anyhow, moving on. Yeah, let's get on to the main topic, because we've got a couple of individuals who have been getting canceled lately. Let's start with Mark Hamill. Why not? Since that's the older of the news. Mark Hamill tries to appease an angry leftist mob after liking a J.K. Rowling tweet. For those who don't know what happened, he liked this tweet, evidently. And they went after him, and he tweeted out again then in response, what I liked about this exchange was someone speaking their truth to power. Twitter's unfortunately no place for nuance. It's imperative that I make this abundantly clear. I support human rights for everyone, regardless of their gender identity, period.
Yeah, that's not a bad walk back.
No, it's not. But for somebody like Mark, who has been traditionally known to be very woke, for the most part, this is the wrath you risk.
Yeah,
I would say.
But the thing is, India is actually a fairly vile character.
Yeah, not vile enough that it didn't.
Well, not amongst
bring the mob after Mark. Yeah.
No, she has the force field of trans womanhood.
Yeah. So let's get everybody's response. Chris, were you aware of this situation, and if you were, what's your take on it all?
Well, first of all, I'm annoyed that people are going after J.K. Rowling. It bothers me. It bothers me for a woman who is incredibly successful, and they go after her because she has an opinion that is not an approved opinion, which just tells me the thing that we can't tolerate is diversity of opinion. And I'm, you know, this ties into the young woman who was at the gaming company that was lost her job. Okay, this isn't J.K. Rowling. This is it's a regular person running community and social media at a video game company who was let go because she liked a J.K. Rowling tweet, and then she also was following problematic people and tweeted that she was looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy. These people are bullies, and the only thing, I mean, the best way to deal with a bully on the playground is to punch him in the nose so they bleed, in my opinion. That's how you deal with a bully. And I think that, you know, we've been quiet for too long. And I can't wait to see the reaction to Hogwarts Legacy, a Harry Potter video game that so many people are looking forward to, who don't even know that this controversy exists. I think Mark Hamill has become insufferably woke. And it's
I agree.
Luke Skywalker is like my favorite. When I was a kid, my favorite character. They have destroyed that character. The two people, the Star Wars sequel trilogy destroyed the character, and then in addition to that, Mark Hamill destroyed it by just being so insufferably woke. You know who doesn't say anything is Harrison Ford. I mean, occasionally he crash lands at an airport.
He's too stoned to think about it, though, Chris.
Or he's too stoned. but it doesn't say anything. I mean, it just goes to show that literally social media in the hands of talent is like giving a loaded gun to a child. It's dangerous and it can destroy your IP. I mean, that'll tie into everyone else we're going to talk about, but I'm really annoyed about this because I pre-ordered Hogwarts Legacy because why? Because I just want an open world Harry Potter game. Like that's an open world game. That is, to me, and there's a Dune one that's coming out, I think later this year. That is the ultimate type of game.
I just want to say that Carrie Fisher also doesn't say anything.
Yeah. Well, when she did,
I'm very impressed with
when she
Carrie.
did, she at least had something to say. I thought that, I mean, Carrie Fisher, you should see those, her on the red carpet during Force Awakens.
Roast.
It was
she's hilarious.
She was amazing. Yeah.
Really.
No, but I agree with everything Chris is saying. And I even sadly have to agree with the whole bully analogy because I'm not one for violence in any way, shape, or form. But as somebody who experienced this firsthand, you're not wrong. There was this kid who was like almost 3 times my fucking size at this point in my life. And he would just consistently bother me and pick on me and push me around and shit. And one day we were standing in the food line and he just wouldn't shut the fuck up. So I backhanded him. And that was the last problem I ever had with him. Of course, I got pulled into the fucking principal's office over it. But like I never had to deal with him again. And you're right. This is part of the problem here. We've gone so long where we've let the children run everything that the moment somebody doesn't go along with what they want, they freak the fuck out. And Mark should have known it. You know, he's part of this group. Nothing you say is going to appease them.
No,
Mark.
no, there's not. You know, you're dead. You're gone. And J.K. Rowling has been so supportive of the the LGBT community for many, many years, and then just said this one thing, which was supporting a woman who, said no penises in men's washroom and in women's washrooms, and that was it. That was all that was required to pillar poor J.K. But got to give her credit. She stood her ground. She has been a lightning rod for all this hatred, and this India woman has actually said some horrible, violent things towards her, which has not been reciprocated by J.K. But that seems to be, allowed.
I think that's because she knows that she's on the right side of history, and history is going to be with her.
Correct.
And against everyone else. Cultured, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
As a woman, we'd like
as a woman, I can tell you that JK is the only person in their right mind here, and I agree with what Chris said. I think that Mark has made himself so insufferable. I think that's the perfect word. That nobody cares about anything he says, and he is retroactively destroying what would have been a lifetime of reputation. By following along in the footsteps. Tom is right as well. But when you look at this, all I have to say is this. If I had $1 billion, I'd be giving the middle finger to all these people anyway, too. Because, I grew up in the era of sticks and stones, can break my bones, call me whatever the heck you want to, and that's all. I mean, when it comes down to it, I think you're right. Tom's right. Everybody here has been right. Stand up to this stuff. That's what we're kind of trying to do here, right? I mean, I calling it out for what it is, pointing out just how much agenda is written into shows like The Last of Us and stuff like that. And, it is what it is.
Let's not forget that a large portion of this movement is brought on by white women. So there's another portion of white women who sooner or later are going to push back. We're getting to that point where there's going to be women are going to be like, enough is enough. I'm sick of men coming in, pretending to be a woman and getting all the awards for everything. It's bad enough that I've been repressed all these fucking years. Now they're allowing men to be women and I can't even be a fucking woman now because of men. So sooner or later that backlash is going to come. JK is just one of the front runners of this shit, basically. I mean, she's not even being vicious about it. She's just flat out saying, I'm a woman is this. And you can pretend you're a woman, you can think you're a woman, you can feel like a woman or whatever, in whatever way you can do it, but it still doesn't make you a natural woman, right? And that's where people even started freaking out about the whole Aretha Franklin song. That was a joke. It was a fucking joke. Yes. But none of the outlets that reported on it bothered to check into that except for some of the conservative outlets. And we
And
were
it's
some of the
funny.
first. In fact, Andre was one of the first to check into it too when it was brought into our toxic femininity chat.
Yeah, it took me a whole of 30 seconds to see that this is incorrect. Of those 30 seconds, 10 seconds was spent actually reading past tweets, like saying that ain't no way this is serious. And then this tweet came from a supposed Norwegian organization. So then it took me another 10 seconds to look up the Norwegian company registry to make sure that there actually is no such Norwegian organization. And finally, being Norwegian, I kind of have an inkling if this really was a Norwegian pro-trans organization, it should follow this, and this Norwegian profile party, what have you. Nope, none. That's when I knew it was bunk. 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen? There's a lot of these like joke accounts that are being taken completely seriously. I put one in the private chat.
I even got duped by this one, Chris, for
I love
a
the
few
name,
minutes.
The name, Dr. Anita B. Eaton.
Yeah. So you have to put it on screen because otherwise
I'm getting there.
I love the doctor.
What's sad is I think I dated her once.
This one is great.
Yeah, I know. This one was good.
Oh my God. But like people like they don't, there's just no deep dive from people who are reactionary. They don't look beyond like, could this be fake? Is this BS?
Well, in the list that Tom just showed, off to the right, follow Anne Lesby. That's also a parody account, and her posts, you go, okay, is that a parody or not? But it's
that's the problem right there, though. I mean, some of these things you can't tell if they're parody or serious.
Yeah, her posts are great. Insects, the vegan friendly food. Yeah. I like to say that I prefer eating vegans because they're grass fed. Yeah, so
this is good. If your cat stops using the litter box, they may be trying to communicate to you that they were assigned the wrong species at birth.
Wow.
Yeah,
talk to your vet about pet transitions. Remember, not all felines are cats.
Yeah, she's good. She's worth following. If you're into that whole side of the crazy frickin' social media universe, I mean, my main concern is that we're on the road to nowhere, and this is never going to end.
But at a certain point, I truthfully, at a certain point with all this nonsense, because it really is a group of people who have not matured into adulthood for the most part. I mean, you have people like Mark Hamill, who, he probably looks to his son or younger people for like, well, how should I act? Right. And celebrities are empty vessels. They're, for the most part, just like, what can I say that's going to get me hired? So I don't actually believe that most celebrities even believe the things that they're tweeting. They're just saying this because it's a way to stay employed in Hollywood, because that's the predominant ideology.
Not only that, they want to be seen as hip too.
Well,
right?
correct. They want to be seen as hip. But the kids, at a certain point, I truly believe that reality is going to hit them, and they're going to look back on this like I look back on photos of myself from the 90s and think, did I wear those pants? Those high-waisted mom jeans? Those were the jeans everybody wore.
That's the difference. So that was awesome.
I had elephant pants.
I actually had, don't laugh, I used to ride a motorcycle to work every day because I saved a lot of money, but I had one of those puffy shirts that was made fun of on Seinfeld. I wore the puffy shirt and a leather jacket. I have photos of myself in it. It was cool at the time. Then Seinfeld did that episode about the puffy shirt. I know you know that, Paul. And it's a hilarious episode. And I think, so it's like, I look back at myself like, yes, look at these dumb fashions I wore. Look like, and it's like, but that's it. I didn't chop my dick off. So
up until Seinfeld, you were as cool as ice, weren't you?
I had a puffy shirt with a 5-inch cuff.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about.
And it really, really made it puffy.
Should I go get my puffy shirts right now?
Oh no,
Yeah,
you
you
got
still
one.
have them. Oh,
If I
that's
wore a
great,
puffy shirt,
Kofi.
I'd look like Meatloaf.
I love it. I
I
love it.
still have my Paisley shirt from 1973.
Yeah.
I made of acetate or some flammable. Some
Ugh.
flammable.
I have
What
a
color?
what is it made of?
I said, what color to
Acetate?
Paul?
It's blue and beige, blue and yellow.
Oh, I have a, what do you call it? Polyester
Yeah.
vintage shirt
Of course you do.
with Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey like stirring up trouble all over it.
Why does that not surprise me?
I don't know.
Anyway, Zachary Levi, is that how you're supposed to say his name? Levi?
Yes.
It looks like Levy to me.
Yeah.
So is it
yeah,
Eugene? Is it Eugene Levi instead of Levy?
I don't know.
It's
All I know
Eugene
is
Levy.
all I know is he's got 501 blues that you can buy. So.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next one then. Zachary Levi.
Yeah.
I'll say it so that it doesn't matter if it's a Y or an I.
Well, now they got it spelled
anyway.
Levi with an I here.
That's how you pronounce. That's how you spell it.
I thought it was with a Y.
I thought so too. Well, anyway.
No, it's with an I.
Shazam, Fear the Godstar. Hardcore agrees with pharmaceutical corporation Pfizer is a danger. So yeah, before we get too deep into this, YouTube, don't pull us down, please. But Zachary Levi,
who is obviously not sponsored by Pfizer,
retweeted Lyndon Wood's tweet the other day. Says, do you agree or not that Pfizer is a real danger to the world?
That they are maybe not as good to the world as many would like us to think. Just say that. So yeah, don't take us down, YouTube overlords.
Anyway, Zachary went against the grain big time, and he's been getting some flack for it. I wouldn't say that he's gotten the amount of flack that say like Mark Hamill has, at least to my knowledge, but he's probably not making any friends, let's say.
All I can say is the combo Viagra COVID vaccine has been great for me.
Well, thanks for the information. But anyway, like the issue here
so you're happy
he agreed, but that he hardcore agreed, and that's hardcore going against the narrative. I mean, and some people are going to take real offense to that. Chris, let's begin with you. What are your thoughts on this opinion, and also what's the general Hollywood take on this opinion?
Well, the general Hollywood take is to not have an opinion or to support the current narrative. That's it. And anyone who diverts from that is getting themselves in trouble. My understanding is, I mean, I did go to his Zachary Levi's. I went to his Instagram. I read his statement about his father who passed away the following, last week, and he had, really heartfelt comments about that. I really feel for him. I was in the room when my father passed away in hospice, so I understand something of what that's like, and so and Zachary, my understanding, if you read other things, he is a Christian. He's not out preaching constantly, but if he's in a conversation and someone asks him, about life and whatnot, he talks about Jesus. And it's just bizarre to see persecution of Christians become a thing. And this is not just against Zachary. It's just become it's become bizarre that like this is now a negative. Now, if you work in entertainment or a way like, I know he's not on the list of who we're talking about, but Tony Dungy, the former coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tony Dungy was attacked also for his Christian beliefs. And that is the thing that's as distressing as, talking about the all the horrible damage that Pfizer has done as a company. We're talking about the largest payout in history. The FDA, you can look this up. It's the article he was He was
2.3 billion.
2.3 billion. Now, to me, if you are required to do that, there needs to be a cost that's not just financial. That CEO and the person who was managing things, there's got to be a top-down change, at that company. The company should either be out of business or have dramatic changes in management and get rid of the deep rot and cancer within a company that could even get you to a place where you would do that. And now everything that's come out from the Project Veritas stuff, and I'm going to speak around stuff, so I'm not being overt about what I'm saying. Just I don't want anything to happen to the stream, Andre.
Yeah, we have to be careful with how we all feel the same way. I'm pretty sure
Yes.
we have to be. We just given the platform, this isn't Rumble, so we just have to be really careful with how we phrase ourselves here.
Yes, I will be. So I think he's saying what everyone else is thinking, and if you look through the comments, the only people that are interested in canceling him are the same idiots, and in addition, it's going to be the mainstream media. And now that we're coming on, look, the new trailer for Shazam just dropped. You guys did a stream on Does Anyone Even Care, which I thought was really good. Good stream. He puts himself in an awkward position. And all he was saying was hardcore agree that these companies should be accountable, especially companies that has our lives in their hands. There needs to be people that are very serious minded. There was even I'm not sure if you saw some of the video footage out of Davos. There were, I believe it was the people from Rebel News that were hounding people outside of the event, and which was great. They found the CEO of Pfizer and asked him all the questions that he needs to answer. And
if I may, they asked him all the questions every journalist should be asking.
That's exactly right. And this is why CNN, you can look this up, lowest ratings in a decade. I mean, their shows are getting like 90,000 people watching them. There are there are shows on YouTube that are getting bigger ratings than CNN now. And they're not just all, people like Tim Pool. A lot of people are generating views on their videos that outpace everything from CNN. I think the only thing the mainstream media is decent for are, highway chases and breaking news where it's happening. Events are unfolding as you see them. That's kind of the good thing that mainstream media is good for. But other than that, everything is couched in a narrative that we didn't agree to believe in. And I think that's become so clear. That's why the mainstream media is dying. I don't know how you keep it alive, but looking at the Zachary Levi situation, it's really sad because I looked through his tweets. I didn't really know all that much about him, except he's a super nice guy. He would put together his own little, God, I forget the name of it. I'm really sorry. Someone in the chat's going to know. He did a little mini con outside of San Diego Comic-Con for people who are unable to get into Comic-Con. He just did this event. It was like God, I'm so sorry. I'm forgetting it, but it was literally free to go in. You didn't need anything special. It was outside of Comic-Con, and it was for people who couldn't get into Comic-Con. He got sponsors to pay for it, and he was like, "Hey, I just want people to enjoy, celebration of nerd and pop culture in San Diego during Comic-Con. Not everybody can get badges. Come to my party. It's free." And he did it like at a large venue where like you could just walk right in. He just seems like the nicest guy. I feel like, and also when you look at like the people they're going after, these are people with stellar reputations. Zachary Levi, J.K. Rowling, and whatnot. Like I what have you heard bad about J.K. Rowling? She demands perfection when it comes to her theme park based on her property, and it's arguably one of the best theme park experiences you'll ever have is Wizarding World, in particular the one in Florida. But this stuff, look, my apologies for all the tangents. Zachary Levi, it's awesome. So the people trying to cancel him, I'm really it just makes me sad that this is the point we're at, is that a guy that's like, father just passed away. He's maybe having some thoughts about some of these companies. Maybe they don't have their best interests in mind.
Chris,
and maybe
I
they
have a
to-
quick question. I was not aware that his father recently passed. How can I phrase this? Was it expected, or did
Yes,
he
it was.
fall and
Well,
couldn't get up again, like so
my under-
unbelievably many across the
Mm,
world?
it wasn't that, but my understanding is it was some form of cancer. But there
How quickly did he have it before, or did it come really rapidly? Because that's one of
I
the
don't know.
reasons why people fall and can't get up again.
Well, you can bring up the statement on Instagram. It's a very heartfelt. He doesn't get into too much of that, but I mean, look, there are when you look at, like, I mean, you could really take a deep dive into this. 7,500 people on average die in the United States daily. That is of all causes. Okay, so that's disease, accidents, traffic accidents. It's natural causes, just like everything. So if there were a ticker every day showing us the number of people that on average died on a daily basis, that might drive you a little nuts. But when you take a sabbatical from regular medical checkups on people, of course there's going to end up being excess death by undetected diseases and ailments. So I am of the belief, and I don't think this is a radical opinion, that the lockdowns did more harm than good. So that's the thing that kind of changed the way I look at things. Was this last several years has I think a lot of people woke up in that time. I'm not alone in that, but it's sad to see. And he never directly said that. He's made no accusation. He doesn't say that he's against vaccine. All he said is that this company should be held accountable for their wrongdoing. And there's plenty to look at. And also with this situation, the questions that were asked of the CEO of Pfizer in Davos by Rebel News, every journalist should be asking that question. Why aren't there needs to be some accountability, and there also needs to be some hearings. Congress needs to do hearings on this. It's just so obvious. This thing needs to escalate. And I think that some people who thought differently during this and were attacked for it need to be vindicated. And that's my thought on that. And I want to get a hardcore agree t-shirt in the Shazam colors.
Before COVID, Pfizer had the lowest user rating of any major pharmaceutical company in the world.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes. Wow. So more people hated Pfizer than any other company. Using the term unscrupulous would get me into trouble, but their methods had been questioned. Of course, they bought the mRNA technology. They didn't develop that in-house. And then their popularity skyrocketed at the height of COVID. And then now it's kind of sunk back down again, and as all these revelations are coming out. But it's gotten very complicated out there, and too many people have their fingers in the money pie. So it's going to be a difficult this is going to be a difficult thing to unravel.
Yeah.
And I do have an issue with okay, for lack of the better term, people who are conspiracy theorists who are saying stuff at the very beginning and kind of turned out to be right partially, and now yelling, we were right all along. Yeah, but it wasn't based on any kind of scientific methodology. It was just
right.
Actually, it was, but it wasn't completely without merit.
No, but but I'm saying that they didn't make those statements out of a logical construct.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't. They just said it because they were kooks.
Not quite. Yeah, well, we'll go with that.
I'm talking about that group. I'm not talking about, then there's other people, a bunch of doctors got together and actually ended up saying the right thing, or the thing that turned out to be correct, and they were pillared by everybody, government, everybody, just to keep them silent. So they now that's a different thing. they were portrayed as conspiracy theorists, but they were experts in their field. So that I do make a distinction. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, anyway, those scientists then, they turned out to be
Yeah.
well, it's not that they turned out, but evidence is now starting to look more on their side. Let's just go with that. And we haven't said too much, I think.
Yeah, but that's I heard somebody very, very early on, a virologist said every single virus in the history of humankind starts off very contagious, deadly, but not very contagious, and then becomes very contagious and not very deadly. And this one followed exactly the same path. So why we didn't hear that from governments and other people, I have no idea. Maybe
Before we
thought this
move
was
on
going
to
be different.
Taika, I just have like one follow-up question on this. What kind of repercussions do you think Zachary will get from this, if any? Chris?
Boy.
Well, he won't be in the DC universe. I think he's the same thing that's going to happen to Ezra Miller. After the movie comes out, they just won't work with him again. And same thing with Ezra Miller. The reason they're quiet about it, they're just not going to work with Ezra Miller after that movie comes out. Why would you announce it before? That's why I can't believe they got rid of Henry Cavill, but they didn't get rid of Ezra Miller, because he has a movie coming out. When the movie comes out, he will not be working with DC again. They need him to work the junket. They need him to, make apologies. And it'll quiet people enough to consider going to see the movie. And then after that, he's done as the Flash. That's it. They will get a different Flash. I don't think that Ezra Miller is critical to that role.
I've been saying that for a while now, actually, but
yeah, exactly. It's just like, look, they're not going to fire him now. He has a movie coming out. Okay. So let the movie
even back.
out.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Just like, yeah. It's
So that
just
would
like,
make
that's
no sense.
You have an investment. Just, there you go. It's like you've planned your Hawaii trip and you're going to break up after the trip.
Well, what I was going to say was basically what I was hearing prior to James Gunn coming in as the head of DC Studios. The plan was to recast him and possibly reshoot The Flash. But at that point, Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy were still looking at possibly just trying to salvage what they had into some working form. But when James Gunn came in, and we'll get into this a little bit deeper here, actually, we could probably break into that, although we do have some super chats we should probably get to in the meantime. But when it would come to what James Gunn would want to do, I think basically Andre's right, because like as soon as he came into the picture, a lot of what I was hearing just like with dead cold silence. And then all of a sudden it was like, yep, he's still in the picture, whatever. Like all of a sudden that changed. Well, like Andre said, why spend more good money after bad if this is the end of the road? Like, why even bother trying to reshoot again for the 5th time on this movie if you're not going to continue with any actor other than the one that James Gunn picked, and the last thing he's going to want to do is his new actor being put into an old movie. So at this point, it's like it's a dead end. So like I see, it makes no sense to spend the money, because the reports were going, oh, they'll never reshoot it would cost too much to reshoot because he plays so many roles. I had somebody specifically say to me, let's just say they're from close to the special effects side of things. They flat out said all this nonsense in the press about replacing Ezra Miller would not cost as much as everybody thinks it does. Because he goes, first of all, it's all shot in front of green screen anyway.
Right.
He's like, it would literally take just maybe. He said, in fact, it would cost less than what they spent on that fucking Justice League shit.
Right.
So, because they would just have to shoot him in front of a green screen most of the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, we live in interesting times, but someone with the thoughtful kindness that I think Zachary Levi has had, to go after him for just agreeing that a horrible company is horrible and should be accountable. And he never said anything about the jab, right? He didn't say a word about it. It was just agreeing that they should be held accountable. It's ridiculous. It's
Well,
utterly
this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be circumspect about everything that you post on Twitter or on social media.
Yeah, well, I'm just upset people are not talking about my 80 for Brady review, which was a very thoughtful review. If you go to my personal Twitter at that Chris Gore, and
I
you
need
look
to see that.
my review for 80 for Brady, I called it gilf infused fun.
The
And
the greatest movie of all time.
it's look, I was being hyperbolic to be funny, and no one seemed to get the joke. I am, to be clear, everyone, I am a sarcastic asshole on Twitter. If this is not clear to you by now, I don't know what to say. I am trying to entertain you. I am not trying to lecture you on Twitter. On occasion, I'll throw out something that could be considered thoughtful because I'm in a melancholy mood. But I was just trying to be funny, and I did, in fact, enjoy 80 for Brady.
Really?
I did. It's you know what it is? It's this mini genre of movie that I call cute old people movie.
Okay.
It's old people end of their lives, kind of like evaluating choices that they've made, and a big opportunity comes along. And this is based on a true story about 4 women in their 80s who went to the Super Bowl to see Tom Brady in probably the greatest Super Bowl ever played, where they were down, I think it was like 27-3 at the half against the Atlanta Falcons, and then came back to win the game.
Yeah, I saw the game.
That is one of the
So is
greatest.
this a documentary or is this a
No.
it's a biopic kind of thing?
No. It's kind of an old woman com. It's the Golden Girls goes the
It's got Hanoi Jane in it, so it's awesome.
Look,
Not aware of this.
It stars Rita Moreno, Sally Fields, Jane Fonda, and Lily Tomlin, and they're great. And if you've not seen, just a quick recommendation, because I have to do one on every stream, Tom, you know this. Movie that Sally Fields starred in years ago. God, I'm trying to remember, but it was called My Name is Doris, and it's about a woman who loses her mother. She's kind of distraught. She gets a job and falls for a younger guy, and she's incredibly awkward. It's a comedy that's heartfelt called My Name is Doris. If you like Sally Field, check out that movie. You'll really, just the awkward comedy of it is hilarious. But 80 for Brady is a lot of fun. It's also produced by Tom Brady. Tom Brady's in the movie as Tom Brady. If you're a Tom Brady, even if you're not a Tom Brady fan, and I'm not, I still enjoyed the film because I love the NFL. I love the spectacle. I try to see one NFL game a year. I haven't done that in the last several years, but
what about that joke with Fonda and Gronk? Oh, you're so big.
It's stupid. First of all, it's stupid. She writes Gronk fanfic, and Gronk reads it. It's like it's so dumb and over the top. It's like a movie that was made in the 70s or 80s. Paul,
sure.
You would appreciate it. If you go see 80 for Brady, you don't like it, I'll Venmo or PayPal you the money for the ticket. If you don't,
you know what? It sounds more interesting than the Banshees of Inisherin, which I
have to watch your review. I just watched that. You know what? That movie would be the finger cutting thing. I just don't understand.
It's Irish humor. It's Irish black humor.
I guess
that's what it is. It's so funny.
I love the first half. The first half is great. I don't want to hang out with you because you're dim. You're an idiot, and I don't want to hang out with you anymore. And so the first
and half, I love that.
I loved it. Then it got just dark with this. I'm going to cut the fingers off my hand one by one until you leave me. And then the ending is tragic and it's bizarre.
Yeah.
But for 80 for Brady, and what was the other Sally Field film?
Rita Moreno, isn't she like 90 years old?
Yes, but they're all great. These are classic actresses that, Paul, you and I have watched.
Oh yeah,
for years. I've watched all those actresses. I remember seeing The Incredible Shrinking Woman, which was more of a comedy than a science fiction. I soon realized as a kid going to see that film. And the other movie is My Name is Doris with Sally Field, a really fun, awkward comedy.
But this would normally be a TV movie. The tone
I guess. Yes.
And I saw an interview with Sally Fields where she said, "I'm just happy to get work."
Yeah, no, like it's just, and look, the stuff that happens is it's many of our dreams to go to the Super Bowl. I've never been. I have a friend that has an inside connect to the NFL. He goes every year. If the Detroit Lions make it to the Super Bowl, I'm going. I want to go. It's one of those things like going to the Playboy Mansion, which I've done a couple times. One of those things you want to do in life, right? Like you want to, that's a whole other story I'll have to tell someday.
Wow.
But yeah, so Chris recommends some movies. Chris recommends.
I just want to be able to go to Taco Bell and not get sick.
Yeah. Oh no! Oh no! But yeah, no,
yes,
you are fast with the effects.
That's good, Tom. But I was just having fun with. I think Twitter is just this hellscape of people that don't understand humor, sarcasm. None of that stuff is just lost. That stuff is lost on people. How do you think Anita is taken seriously?
Speaking of, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I made the mistake in my my Romanian tourist video, complaining about the fact that Romania is more than just a destination for doing fantasy shows for Netflix and Amazon, that I purposely made the entire history of Romania wrong as part of the joke. And I've been pillared by Romanians saying, no, Ceausescu got shot by firing squad, did not get hung. And I'm going, no, you listen to the national instrument is not the flaming dulcimer. Like everything in there is fake. And they point out different facts in my video, and big mistake to try to make up fake Romanian facts, which no one in the United States would know, right? But I'm getting hammered by Romanians.
It's basically you did a Romanian Borat.
That's right. Exactly what I did.
But I think what he's upset about is where those jokes should have really landed and gained him a Romanian audience. It's just not working out. For him.
Yes, I was hoping to get
that Romanian money out of the
whatever their currency is.
The Lev, I think it is.
Yeah, I'll go watch 80 for Brady. It's actually something I'd love to watch.
Well, let's see what the chat's talking.
Well, the 80 for Brady is an old school comedy, the kind they used to make. It's like those Any Which Way You Can, Every Which Way But Loose type of just,
right.
It's a stupid comedy, starring like an actor with gravitas, like a Clint Eastwood in those movies, but like with a monkey. So you've got these incredible Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning actresses, in the twilight of their years, doing a goofy, over-the-top comedy set during a real event, and it's based on a true story.
And women actors of this age would never get a job like this usually.
Yes, that's what's great about it. So I mean, look, I cringe every time I see that trailer. That trailer is terrible because it leans into all the dumbest of the comedic moments, but there are more things at play here. And those of us who have older people in our lives that we take care of, like or that we care about, older, this it's a fun movie. It's fun. So that's all I'm gonna say. Look, not gonna change your life, not the greatest thing ever. It's not a 9 out of 10 or even an 8 out of 10,
hey.
But there's nothing woke about it. It's super. They even kind of make fun of woke in a sense that like none of them have any idea what's going on in the world, and people are weird, and they're set in their values, which is good.
Which is funny because like Jane Fonda was like proto woke back in the day. But
well, yeah. But
we'll never let her go for that.
No, never.
Hanoi Jane? No.
Yeah.
And then Cthulhu, let's get some of these super chats, and then we'll get to the Taika Waititi news. It says, if only they inserted Americana travel episodes, Hulk, Kung Fu, Highway to Heaven, etc. Will that show type ever return? Well, it'd be interesting. Didn't they redo Kung Fu here just recently? Like a couple of years back with like a chick?
Super woke. Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember if the show had the same kind of idea,
was-
but yeah,
it
it
was
was a fun concept.
CW love right there. It got the CW loving.
Well, that's kind of like we still have that with a lot of these procedural shows. They're a lot of the same thing. It's just the shit comes to them instead of them going to the, stuff happening. It's all the same thing. You just have guest stars come in as, your villain and your victim of the week and, your witnesses and whatnot. It's all the same kind of thing. It's just same locations as far as like the main actors go. But yeah. Yeah, we haven't had TV like that in a while, though, I don't think, other than the procedural stuff. Mech 1160
2 years.
What was that?
Kung Fu only lasted 2 years.
Did it? Yeah. I don't even know if they
I
had the
love
same
that
gimmick.
show.
That's what I was wondering.
I
The new
enjoyed
one,
it.
anyway. Mech 1164 says, let's not forget that the agenda is still in a full effect. Case in point, SNW, which is Strange New Worlds. Is that what it is? Just hired a new... No idea. Just hired and promoted their new non-binary actor. I think that's what it is.
Oh, the Star Trek.
Probably.
Strange
Yeah.
New Worlds? Okay. Yeah.
I'm
That's
not
the most
surprised.
important thing about them is that they're non-binary.
Right.
It is. It's very important. Oops, I jumped ahead here. Haiti and Felarudo says, no, we don't need to take things on their own. They have been pushing this on us and destroyed every single franchise we held dear. Well, you're right. But we still need to be able to not, just for our own peace of mind and self-interest, not jump at shadows, if that's what you're referring to, or ghosts or whatever it was, like Culture, I think, called them.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to be jumping at ghosts, but it's a drag.
We're going to be woke baited before long.
Yep.
Mr. Tickle Trunk says the easiest way to spot agenda versus normal diversity is looking at relationships. Is the gay lesbian couple the only healthy relationship? Ding, 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 ding. Well, even that's not necessarily true. It just could be the only relationship in the show. Like with Star Trek, doesn't necessarily mean it was healthy. But anyway, Alan Octavian Moldovan says, hello, panel. Mr. Chato, I loved your video of Romanian. I LOL like a child. Also loved the use of typical Transylvanian diction. P.S. Forgot Papa Nasi. Evidently, and Alan sent this in before you even brought that up. So he got the jokes.
Yeah, and
Good.
he is Romanian, to be clear.
And thank you. Thank you very much.
So that means he's
hard.
in the right crowd. There you go. You're in the right place. That sounds about right. You're just reaching too far, Paul. That's the problem.
You know what? I thought Romanian humor would go farther.
I guess not. There's just a limited audience for it, evidently.
That's right. My great aunt came from Transylvania. So
Yankee Doodle Dandy says, Chris Gore, why is it said that comedy is so hard to do? What elements are required to make a successful comedy? I think this would be a better question for Paul, but Chris,
oh,
what's
no,
your
anyone
opinion
can
on
answer this. I just
Well, I mean, a bunch of people can answer this, but here's what I'll say is that here's the problem is the audience has changed. The understanding of comedy requires intelligence. Why? Because you need to connect ideas and you need to be aware of certain things in order for humor to work, in addition to stating an undeniable truth that we all think but don't say out loud. That's where a lot of comedy comes from. And I think that the audience has become just their understanding of it. And I think a lot of this is done on purpose, meaning people do get the joke, but they choose to be outraged in order to be right. And I observe that. Paul, I'm sure you have some thoughts as well.
Part of it too is who's the generation that is graduating from schools, universities, colleges. Comedy is offensive to them because we end up saying things that we shouldn't be saying as far as they're concerned. So there's almost no place. You can be canceled at a comedy club because one person objected to what you had to say. And that never happened in the past. You know that once you pass that transom of that stand-up,
that used to be known as a heckler. Yeah.
No, the heckler yeah, but that's something else. You can deal with it. But now you get someone who actually goes to the management and complains and goes onto social media and never go to this comedy club again. The UK now is completely terrified. All the clubs are very left of center. And you know, you can't even make a pro-Brexit joke without being canceled. It's absolutely insane. Of course, you've got people like Chappelle and people with power who are able to say whatever it is that they want. And it's not like there isn't an audience for comedy, but I am concerned about the universities, which actually that was the first place you used to go to for incendiary and what do you call it? Not counterculture, but comedy that's offensive. That's where you went to first, was the universities and colleges. Now that's the last place you go to.
Well, yeah, that's where like Lenny Bruce and all those guys got.
Yeah, and I mean, we used to go to them all the time. I mean, this is where the Frantics got their start, and this is where we did some of our most offensive material. But you can't.
Well, it's not so much that you're saying that comedy has to be offensive, but you have to be able to be free of worrying about offending somebody, because as long as the comedy isn't mean-spirited and it's true to itself, it'll always be funny.
Yeah, and offensive, again, it doesn't mean swearing. Yeah. We had a sketch at the time called Heaven is for Presbyterians. So and you know, at the time religion was a bigger deal, and that actually shocked people. You know, we had a bit where you know, somebody died and he's up in heaven and he's asking the St. Peter, saying, look, no, I really have to go back. And he says, no, you can't go back, and whatever. And he says, no, I have to go back. I have to erase my hard drive. And he goes, oh, okay, you can go back. So anyway, you don't have to be swearing to have ideas that are controversial in its time. So yeah, and you can't do those at universities anymore. They've lost their sense of humor. The kids there are now being trained to be activists.
Well, as most of the people that have been booted from these universities that were going to be giving speeches, like everybody from Jordan Peterson to whoever, have all said the same things about it. It's like, you know, this used to be the place for higher learning and different thought. Now it's, you know, an echo chamber, and basically if you don't agree with them, they shut you out. And, you know, that's the biggest problem that I think is the truth, because it's not even so much that I think people are afraid of you saying something that's offensive, Paul, to get back on the offensive part, because I think we've already kind of concluded what offensive we're talking about here. It's not so much that I think the woke folk are worried about people being offensive. It's the fact that other people will laugh. And once other people laugh, then that puts, and again, it's just this whole like thing. And I think it kind of brings us to our next topic here, because, you know, a lot of people will sit there and argue, is somebody like Taika Waititi even funny? You know, I mean, can you be funny now? People like Mel Brooks and others have argued that no, you really can't be anymore.
History of the World Part 2 is coming out.
It's coming, but I think it's going to be garbage.
That was always a joke, because I thought History of the World Part 2, because I remember when the first one came out.
Well, that was the joke, Chris.
That was the joke. It was part 1, and it's amazing to see that that's happened now. I'm unfamiliar with the Taika Waititi joke. What did he say?
Not a joke. He's
not so much a joke.
He's doing the television version of Time
Bandits. And what's funny is Terry Gilliam actually is not too happy about this. I know we kind of we did kind of clickbait people in a little bit, I will admit. But Gilliam, it's funny because I just for the first time in my life saw The Adventures of Baron Munchausen the other day. And I'm just sitting here going like, God, Terry Gilliam was a fucking genius. Why does Hollywood not give him more?
Because he's out of his mind, and he's always over budget.
That's the thing I don't understand. No, it's like, I don't care. This guy could have been James Cameron at some point, yet they just work against him at every turn, it seems like. He can never get a movie made without endless problems.
Right.
But everything I've seen him do has been amazing. But anyhow, so yeah, Time Bandits.
12
Speaking
monkeys.
of Baron Munchausen, Time Bandits is actually part of his, I think it's called his Otherworldly trilogy, which includes Baron Munchausen and Brazil. But he is extremely unhappy with Taika and the upcoming Apple TV adaptation of Time Bandits. His disdain for the entire project was quite obvious, I guess,
Wow.
according to this.
I think
Of course-
that was partly due to the fact that they're not using tiny people.
Well,
It's going to be a
maybe.
combination of kids and all sorts of. It's a different group of time bandits as opposed to tiny people, which I don't know if you're allowed to use anymore. Are you allowed to employ people of
I don't
lacking
know.
stature anymore?
We've got to ask Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, basically he's the gatekeeper for that.
That's what I understand.
He made it problematic for everyone else. So like the rest of actors of how shall we put it? That's of the rest of actors who are
Height challenged.
Yeah, I was like thinking that like challenged in stature or something like that. They were not too happy with him.
Yeah, unless he was employed. I guess if they gave him work, he's happy. Then he's okay.
Yeah,
as long as Peter's happy.
He's a toxic Avenger now. So yeah.
Well, what did Dinklage actually say that scared everybody off? That this.
Well, when they were going to do the Snow White, when they announced the Snow White
Right.
live action in quotations remake of Snow White at Disney, he for some reason expressed worry that they were going to cast little people in the roles of the dwarves. So Disney clapped back. Oh no, they're going to be animated. Actually, they're going to be referred to as creatures, not dwarves or whatever in this version, because he was going off also about dwarf being something that's not necessarily PC or whatever you want to call it anymore. It's like I thought that was the PC version.
Tree, the lollipop.
It's like I don't know.
And
Anyway,
then and Taika said that he's not going to be employing.
So anyway, the Snow White deal went down. So they came out and said that. So like a bunch of actors of smaller stature came out against Peter Dinklage, going, "What the fuck are you doing, man? You just cost 7 little people their fucking jobs."
Yep.
It's not like we got enough. We got we don't get enough jobs in this business anymore, especially now that CGI and other things have come into play. A lot of little people used to be heavily used in special effects for like in costume work and other things like that. So I'm sure it's not easy being an actor. And look, I've known a little person in my life. I've brought this up many times before. And one gripe that they had a lot of the time is that it's not easy to get employment.
We know that's your euphemism for your penis. We know that.
It is. But anyway, my penis can't get employed. No. It's not easy to get employment as a little person. And sure, you could get disability in most cases. But the other side of it is the entertainment industry is one place where little people can find employment. And not only that, good paying employment. But when somebody like Peter Dinklage comes along and says, well, we can't have that, and costs 7 people their fucking jobs,
that's a bit of a drag.
Kind of counterproductive to the whole system.
No, you'd have to hire Oompa Loompas instead.
Yes, it's just silly. And, of course, it looks like Gilliam's not making any friends with being tired of white men being blamed for everything here, but that's an unrelated story. So it gets into about what the film was about, and then let's see if it gets into any comments about what's.
Well, I can give while you look, I can give the gist of it. Remember how Waititi was confronted with a fan who just like was worried about the mythos of Thor and what was going to happen to that with Lady Thor being brought in part 4, to which Taika Waititi responded, "I'm going to ruin your mythos in a minute, baby." Now, he didn't use those exact words about the Time Bandits, but everything that he has said, and certainly what he has done on set, how he has written and filmed it, because Gilliam was supposed to be on set apparently for 2 weeks, and he left in disgust after 3 days because he apparently felt that Waititi had ruined his mythos baby.
Oh. Well, and this is on the heels of what Hemsworth has said recently too, isn't it, Andre?
It is, because you will recall that Hemsworth, he didn't say anything about Waititi by name, but he said that he was done working for tour directors. and he did so right after coming off a critically maligned movie which underperformed by auteur director Taika Waititi.
Here, I'm going to go against the grain, and I think Taika is the perfect person to direct or manage Time Bandits.
That could very well be, but Gilliam evidently does not feel so.
Yeah, but I can understand that. It's his baby. He doesn't have control of it, and he's going to say something crappy no matter who's doing it. That's my thought.
And I think he's right.
But wait a minute. I believe that he is an EP or was an EP on this, and he's walked away from it. I think his name was on there.
He may not have any.
He may not have creative
say
control
or sway. Like exactly, creative control. Thank you.
So he's got a dog in the fight. I mean, so to speak.
Well, yeah, he got a check out of it. Just like when John Carpenter, when you ask him about remakes, he's like, "Oh yeah, every time they do a remake, I put my hand out and they put a check in it." That's it. He don't give him input, nothing. But so I doubt Gilliam was allowed any input here. Is what
temperament and everything. I think Taika, based on what I've seen him do in the past, he has the right temperament for this particular production.
I would have agreed with you, but after Love and Thunder,
because that's just one project.
I know, Paul, but I don't think that Waititi's the mad genius we all think he is. Like on a mad genius level, I know Gilliam is a mad genius. That was my point in the start.
Listen, David Lean recovered from Lawrence of Arabia just fine. Sorry, not the best analogy.
No, I was going to say, I don't think that one works out.
Well, and we shall see. We shall see. Have fingers crossed that this just is a case of an older director who is not happy about seeing his work remade, and it's certainly well within the realm of possibility that that's what we're getting here. Maybe this is going to be every bit as good or as embraced as what we do in the shadows. Maybe Waititi is perfect for this, and this is going to be his comeback project after Thor: Love and Thunder, which got him disinvited from any more Thor movies for Marvel, at least from what we have heard. However, then there is the matter of this is also a project for Apple, as far as I'm aware, just like Foundation, produced by some of the same people who did so marvelous with that.
Oh, the Foundation people are doing Time Bandits?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, I've changed my mind.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is not boding well to begin with. And honestly, to me, Terry Gilliam is one of those guys where, I mean, I haven't seen the 12 Monkeys TV show. I haven't heard if it's good or bad one way or the other, but like, I mean, maybe some of his things could work as a TV show or movie, but to me, a lot of the stuff I've seen of his is pretty much his own voice. I mean, I don't know. Normally, I'd rather see Waititi do that Flash project he was supposed to do. That was I was more on board with, because I was like, okay, yeah, let's see him, because clearly he's probably going to try and remake the 70s version because that's all he knows. So let's do that. Flash Gordon, I mean, for those who are curious what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I don't think that James Gunn is going to want Taika Waititi anywhere near.
Yeah, I just want to be clear. Flash Gordon, not Flash the superhero.
I could see Waititi doing Flash Gordon.
That's what I mean. Yeah, after Ragnarok, totally.
I'd be all for that.
But I have very little faith in this. But we are losing Culture Casino here, and I think we do have a super chat for you, my friend.
All right.
Before we go, Cardinal Sin, I believe,
hey,
says, "Love everyone on the panel: Chris Gore, Tom, Andre, Culture, Paul, this dream team." Stream Dream Team. That works too.
There you go.
Right here. Well, thank you so very much, Cardinal Sin. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Cardinal Sin's got a channel of his own, so check that out. He does. Lots of diverse content there for sure.
Yeah. Go ahead and check him out, indeed. And with that, it is your turn to
I hate to comment and run, but I'm going to. Thanks for having me today. For those of you who are unfamiliar, I have gone on a content producing rampage. So I'm releasing 5 videos today.
Wow.
And for 10 weekdays straight, there will be 5 videos a day. So Algorithm
Wow.
be darned. Yeah. Anyway,
Very cool.
it was nice to see
Wow.
everybody. Have a great day,
Good
everybody.
luck.
Check
Yeah.
out Culture's channel. Plenty of entertainment today, evidently. But with that, let's get back into a few other super chats. What do you guys say?
And I
No,
need to
it's
go
good.
soon too.
Okay, well, we'll bring up your super chats next then. Marksman of
Yeah,
11-7B.
Sorry, I gotta
So
go
then you're
too.
after
but,
that?
Yeah. We're sorry,
Well,
guys.
we'll do our best here to get through the super chats for everybody. Here,
It's all
we'll
good,
start with this
Tom,
one
I'm
on
sorry.
screen. That's all right. Marksman 11-7B says, Last of Us is the first show I've seen with a built-in ejector seat. Everyone is ready to bail out because they want to avoid season 2 and Abby. Yeah.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Pretty much.
Yeah, time will tell on that.
I'll be interested in seeing what the audience ratings are for the show, last night's show.
And then to Chris, ActionCom says, Chris, do you watch Academy Award-winning shorts? Are short films entertainment that the wider public is missing out on? Recommend any for the mid nostalgia crowd.
I will say this. Yes, I actually have screeners for all of the Oscar-nominated shorts. I'm going to do my best before the Oscars to watch all of them. I'll report back the results on this show and on Film Threat. If you watch our Film Threat live stream, Alan has already seen most of the shorts, and we will be running a story. So we have, if you want to look up the individual movies, go to filmthreat.com. You'll find reviews of most of them already. We're going to do a roundup story, like the doc shorts, the narrative shorts. So we're going to do roundup story to kind of put them all in one place so you can find them, but not as yet, but I will. And the Film Threat Action News team is on it. Is what there you go.
Chris, we actually got a question for you, that would have been perfect for you the other day here. I'm going to repeat
Let's
it
hear
right
it.
now. And that pertains to these Oscar-nominated shorts.
Yeah.
Where can the rest of us see them?
Most of them are online. They do the Academy also. You should check your local movie theater. The Academy does screenings that are free. So, for example, you can go to a theater. I know you can do this in Los Angeles. They do this in other cities too. You can see all the animated short or the documentary shorts, narrative shorts, and the animated shorts. They do them in blocks. Tickets are free. And a lot of them you can find online, and there are distributors that do, that basically the way to see them is mostly for free. So you really just have to be good at the Google and search for it, and then look for one of these screenings. I've gone to those, and it's great. Like I saw the animated shorts when they were doing that, and the narrative shorts. They're fun because you could be watching one and go, oh, this one's not really for me. I don't really like this one, but it's going to be over in 5 or 10 minutes, and then the next one is there. They're, for the most part, all very good. So yeah, I plan to have seen them all by the time of the Oscars. And once I do that, you can generally predict which is going to win once you've seen them. So yeah, we should do a story like that on the Film Threat website with links to
let everybody know how to see it, because that was kind of our answer. We weren't 100% sure, but we were like, go see them in the festivals and stuff like that. But I said chances are a lot of them are probably on YouTube by now or other places that you can probably get to them via the web. So that's a good idea for video. And then we got Douglas A. Burton, who has a question for Paul here. It says, Paul, any chance we can get a vid where Transylvania is updated for modern audiences as a medieval transgender utopia?
Which movie Transylvania? I mean, the Roman Polanski vampire movie had all sorts of sexually ambiguous individuals biting each other.
That's
funny
true.
movie. If you can dig that up, that's a terrific movie. I forgot what that's called. Chris?
Also the Hunger with David Bowie.
I'm trying to think.
That's another good vampire movie that's somewhat erotic.
So I'll have to Transylvania. I guess that's a
Fearless
movie.
Vampire Hunters or
Fearless Vampire Hunters, yes.
Killers is what they're saying.
That is my all-time favorite vampire movie.
It's a little slow now, but it's still good.
I love the pacing. Like, that slowness of it is part of the reason why I love it.
Transylvania. You could be that's right.
I
Bella
think
Lugosi.
he's more on the lines of thinking like, like,
Hi, I'm Tootsie. I'm your tour guide. And on the left here, this is Dracula's castle. Well, he's had it updated now. It has, gender neutral bathrooms in it. That's right. And Dracula actually has changed his gender. He is now a they, them.
Oh man.
something like that. I don't know.
That's right. Yeah.
I gave you the start for it anyway.
Thank you. And I don't know where to go with it. Transgender vampire.
Transgender Vania.
Then you ask if Nicolas Cage is available.
I'm more of a coffin protector.
If the money is available, he'll do it.
Then we got one for both of y'all. Both y'all. Valentine's Tube says, Mr. Chato or Mr. Gore, I'm writing a web series based in the 80s. I'm sorry. Can I self-distribute online after production? What would be a great option for it?
I'll tell you exactly. Vimeo is probably your best option. One, the quality of video is much better than YouTube. Vimeo.com is the platform, the preferred platform for filmmakers. I would recommend getting an account there. If also you can charge people, so you can actually make money on Vimeo. That would be the place I would start. And also, Vimeo is a great resource just to watch short films and features. There's so much free content on Vimeo. Nearly every filmmaker that sends us their movie for review at filmthreat.com, they all use Vimeo with a password. If they're, and also like if you're submitting your movie to a film festival, pretty much every film festival, they'll just send us your Vimeo link. It really is. The quality is just fantastic. I mean, you can do 4K on there. It's great. And also they give you the option to sell your content. Now, what I would say to you is this: be very careful about rights. Be very careful about rights. Covers of magazines and movie posters, that stuff is fine because it's considered advertising, but be careful when it comes to music or movie clips. You can only use movie clips below a certain length. I believe it's like 6 seconds. So it's got to be really short if you're going to use anything. And it's also kind of, use it sparingly and you won't get copyright dinged. I know, Tom, you probably know a little something about that.
Oh, yeah.
With YouTube, like I've dealt with it as well. So
it's pretty much the same thing here. For the
most part. I mean, I'm going through that right now with my movie. I'm getting set to release, and there's a couple things we have to fix for legal. We, maybe used a little too much footage here from something, and we have to just cut it back. I mean, it's just, look, it happens. It happens. So,
well, I don't think he's commenting on movies from the 80s. It looks like he wants to do a web series based on the time in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, score your own music. That's actually the best advice that I can give you. Actually, get someone to write music for you. That is absolutely the best thing that you can do. Yep. And as far as distribution, you can also package everything up and put it onto Tubi, but Tubi has gotten so popular that you need an aggregator. You can't just send it to them yourself anymore. That's one of the bad sides of Tubi.
Those aggregators are not cheap either because they charge you for the platform. It's usually about $500. So my suggestion, you're starting out, go on Vimeo. There's a woman, if I don't know if you know who she is. Her name is Comic Book Girl 19. Her real name is Danica, but she's not as active on YouTube as she used to be. But she made an entire series of documentaries about X-Men comic books. Like if you want to be fully informed about certain eras of X-Men comics, she did these feature-length documentaries, and then she charged a very reasonable price on Vimeo for these documentaries. So I just think start out at Vimeo, and it's also important, like watch what other people are doing. You can reach out to other filmmakers, but I think Vimeo is going to be your first stop. For that. And then you can promote it on YouTube with a trailer, and then refer. Here's the Vimeo link to buy or rent the web series, and if it's reasonably priced, people will go for it. So I wish you luck on your.
I don't think the hoops are too bad to get on Amazon either, from what I've heard, but they don't pay much.
It used to be Amazon just took anything. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's
Especially
not
when it
as
comes
easy
to
as it used to
documentaries.
be.
You can also do it on Patreon.
Yeah, but Vimeo, you're still going to need Vimeo as the platform, and it's a great place. Like you could go to Vimeo now and find stuff to buy and rent that's indie, and there's plenty of stuff to watch for free. Vimeo is specifically the filmmakers platform. It's for movies, shorts, music videos, and web series.
Well, and if you're doing a series, what I would do, and this is just my personal opinion, I would make like the first episode free as many places as you can. And then, like Chris was saying, link to the show on Vimeo or wherever you can monetize it, so that you give people a taste, because that's going to be the toughest part. The toughest thing about anything self-distributed is the advertising, because that's what makes anything independent different from the studio system. Is the studio system is plugged in to that
you just
advertising machine that they can get stuff
that
out there. Yeah,
you can't just put it on Vimeo and expect people to see it, because Vimeo charges.
That's what I'm saying. Well, not just that, but
Vimeo charges a monthly fee.
Exactly right. You still have to market it.
That's what I'm getting to. Yes, and that's the big difference between something that's independent and the studio system, to where they got the machine behind them to advertise it and get everybody knowing about it. If you're doing that on your own, that's going to be a bulk of your work right there, is just getting people to know that it exists. And then once you're that far, then it's, hopefully gravy. But that was just my personal suggestion. Is like,
yep, you make it, you put on Vimeo, you will make millions. I guarantee it. It's an absolute guarantee that you'll be just rich.
No guarantees that Paul Chato makes on this show are actually guaranteed. Showbiz
is easy. It's the simplest thing in the world.
Showbiz is actually not easy.
You'll get laid a lot.
Most claims made by Paul Chato are not real.
you will not be laid a lot.
Your laid and not laid ratio will have completely to do with whether or not you look good and or what opportunities you have.
Yeah.
That's right.
But were there any other super chats?
None directly that I know of.
Have to be going.
None offhand directly, no.
We had fun with that one.
There's plenty that they could comment on, but I know they're limited on time, so I think that we'll have to take care of those. So thank you again, gentlemen. As always, it's fun to get to talk to both of you. And Chris, it's been too long. We're glad to have you back from your hiatus.
I'm happy to be back.
We're getting into awards season here, so we need you.
Well, yes. Boy, it's going to be pretty nuts. But I predict the worst ratings, worse than last year, and maybe even worse than the year before.
I actually think they're going to go up a little bit, Chris. I mean, they're not going to be like great, but I think just because people have seen the movies, that's why.
Yeah. Well, at least a couple of the movies, but those were token nominations. The nominations for Avatar and Top Gun, to me, those were just token, like, those movies will win in technical categories here and there. But for the most part, I can tell you who's going to win. Acting. It's gonna be Brendan Fraser for actor, Kate Blanchett for actress, Kihei Kwan for supporting, and Angela Bassett for supporting. That's those are your four winners right there. Go ahead, go win. And as for
that's pretty much, I think, what we come up with.
I can't predict Best Picture right now.
It's going to be everything.
I think it's everything everywhere all at once. Because I said that was my prediction. Is that's going to sweep at least half or more.
Are we going to have
Oscars
our own special Oscar show?
Like Film Thread's doing,
Film Thread did last year. Yeah,
we did with the Golden Globes. That was fun.
Oh well, open invitation for the Film Thread Oscars.
I'd love to be there because I love me Oscars.
All right,
I know they're going to be shit. The only thing that's going to be great is at least the nominations feel like classic Oscars. I doubt they'll be able to make the show feel like classic Oscars.
Well,
because you're right, none of the good shit's going to win, but
I'll be in a tuxedo.
You're very handsome.
No, I'm serious. At least from the waist up, I'll be in a tuxedo. All right, I got to run, everybody.
Take care, brother.
Good to be back.
Have a good day.
Monday.
There is a super chat for me.
Oh, there's
one for you.
Paul, talk to you soon.
Bye,
Chris. All right. For Paul, Miguel Farah, it looks like Romanians hating on Hungarians. Color me shocked.
No, it's very true. During the Austro-Hungarian Empire, there's still a lot of resentment towards Hungarians, and the Slovaks don't have a lot of nice things to say about Hungary either. I mean, that's what happens when you're a ruling country. that don't treat their people too good. My grandfather was actually a Slovak Hungarian, so but I'm not taking the blame for it, and I'm not paying reparations either. I was born against my will.
Were they asking for it?
No, but that seems to be the popular comment.
Just getting ahead of the game.
I'm just getting ahead of the game. That's exactly you, Tom. Thank you.
We're not going to have any of this reparation talk either. God dang it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, of course. Always glad to have you.
I apologize if I got too strident at any point. Just cut out those videos.
It was, I knew that going into today that the few of the topics were going to be attached to some really touchy subjects. So you know what? We just we had to do the best we could with what we had. So
yeah, so
no worries.
I apologize ahead of time. And I apologize for Mark Hamill just existing. So bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
Don't
for
forget to
joining
check
us
out
today.
Paul's channel.
My pleasure.
Take care. All right, let's get back to the super chats at the top. We got Tipping Barn, who says new Punisher name suggestion: the Time Outer. Yes, you've been bad. Go to the corner. That's justice for you. History will always remember. BR ruin everything. I think he means Bad Robot, of course. Rip, rest in peace. Anne Wershing, if I'm saying her name correctly, from 24 being awesome. And Kurtzman's contract ends tomorrow, according to him. So there you go. Yes, I heard about this actress passing at a very young age, sadly. Then we got DS Ford, who's been a member for 15 months. Thank you. Tweaky Kid, who's been one for 21 months. And then we've got Mobile Recluse Member, who's been a member Mobile Recluse, who's been a member for 15 months. If I could talk today, it'd be great. Pixel Supreme sends in some, that's Swiss francs, correct?
That is Swiss franc, yes.
All right. Hail Andre, don't be too hard on yourself for not understanding the Evangelion. I know I screwed up that name. Anime. No, no one got even close to that. Hideki Anno explained in an interview.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you say that. But anyway, we'll have more details about this. But Tom and myself, we're gonna take a dip into anime since there is so much demand for it. And then when we do, we're going to need you guys to be there, hold us in the hand and guide us and explain stuff for us. So you'll get the chance to explain all of this for us. So just hang in there.
Yay.
We'll get back to the details. It's going to be lots of fun.
Yay!
Zephyr has been a member for 18 months. Thank you so much. And then we got Dear Rowan, who just sends in a heart. Well, thank you. Then we've got Tennille, who says, did that David Carradine show end with him visiting a hotel room in Bangkok? Too soon, my friend. With him seeming fidgety about his belt. Oh, I'm going straight to hell. Yeah, probably. Oh, Lord. Austin Griffin says, same thing happened to Chris Pratt regarding Christianity. Yeah, when we were on that topic. Yeah. They were quick to try and cancel him no matter what. But so far, it hasn't worked out for him. But yeah. And then we've got Shum, who's been here for 21 months and says the quartering is back on the Bird platform. Well, awesome for the quartering. I wonder if Brittany or any of the others are going to be brought back sooner than later too or not. But we'll see. And then we've got the Walt Man here who says, wait, has anyone heard of High Karate Aftershave? Highly recommend to watch some of the British ads on it. I am somewhat aware of this, yes. They're pretty funny. History will always be remember. Bad Robot ruined everything. It says TV show to recommend Hunters on Amazon. All right, there you go.
Hunters on Amazon. Maybe this is another one that slipped through the cracks.
Maybe. Not one I'm familiar with. Poke stonks only go up. Or Pokey Stonks only go up? That's what it is. What was Taika Waititi canceled for? Well, we played a little clickbaity fun with the title, but basically it was Gilliam canceling Waititi via, walking out on him and not approving of his reiteration of Time Bandits, basically.
In addition to Chris Hemsworth, let's not forget about Hemsworth deciding that he won't be working with him anymore, and that Marvel also probably won't invite him back for Thor Part 5.
Not to mention, we haven't really heard anything about that Flash Gordon project in a while.
I think he may have lost that too in the aftermath of Thor 4. So I think that's
I wonder.
another into the Waititi cancelled column.
So yeah, even though Andre was being a little
cancelled.
Yeah, sorry. Even though Andre is being a little clickbaity, I think it falls within the category.
Yeah.
Jesus Davila sends in a thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. We appreciate that. We got Paulus Plain, who sends in a nice sized 200 krona from Norway. Says the West Wing president Josiah Bartlett. There are 3 words and 3 words only in the English language that begin with the letters DW. Toby Ziegler, dwell, dwindled, dwarf, and dwell. Mr. Willis of Ohio, episode 6, season 1. I wonder if that's true.
I would love to see the context for that quote. So yeah thanks for the tip.
Ryman says, if cancel culture is today's McCarthyism, do we have an actual McCancel? And that's what is its pronoun?
Well, it's gonna self cancel when you get it wrong.
I like this though, McCancel. Yeah, we've gotten to that point. It is almost like a manufactured thing, and they all go the same, no matter who it is. Steven Simmons says, with The Abyss coming to 4K Blu-ray, finally, has there been any rumbling about True Lies making its way officially to Blu-ray and or 4K? Yes. Steven, you'd be a perfect candidate to watch 4K for You, which is on every single Wednesday, right on Midnight's Edge After Dark, which is the sister channel to Midnight's Edge. And there we talk all about this stuff every week, or almost every week, depending on if there's enough news. And yes, as we brought up there before, Abyss was supposedly signed off or going to be signed off on by James Cameron along with The Abyss for a near future release on 4K Blu-ray. So there you go. That's the latest news I have on that. Then Valentine's Tube says, will Disney investor activist pull a Vince McMahon? There's an investor activist?
Yeah, it's in reference to our most recent video, Nelson Peltz.
Him.
What did Vince McMahon do? Because I'm not up to date with wrestling and what's going on there. So you're gonna have to elaborate on that because I wish I could comment, but not knowing the other side of the equation, I have to look that up. So
is it it was me all along, Austin meme, or
what did Vince McMahon? Someone in the comments let us know quickly. Vince McMahon can save Disney. Well, I'm sure he's probably
the Vince McMahon thing is a whole new level, holding the WWE hostage. Yeah, I have no idea of all this stuff.
Well, this is that's kind of what he would be trying to do. What Nelson Peltz is trying is to find enough other major institutional investors that he actually, in a sense, can hold Disney hostage by way of evicting some board members and installing some of his people instead, thereby enacting change.
Here we go. Excuse me. Gonzalo says, Vince, considering he had 80% of the voting shares, reintroduced himself as the chairman of WWE.
Right. Yeah, he's trying something like that, but he's obviously not going to get 80%. He's not going to get the kind of shares of where he actually can make himself the head of the company. That's not happening. There's no universe where that happens because you have too big an opposition between BlackRock, between Vanguard, between Iger, and the chairman of the board, whose name escapes me right now in the second. But between those, they'll never win those over. And that right there is so much of the company that he can never, ever make himself the CEO. But he can force his way on the board. And if he's able to force 1 or 2 other people on the board as well, that's enough to enact change.
Oh. And then we've got Cardinal Sin here, who says, my dad used to wear high karate all the time. And with that, Sadie is telling me it's time to end the show, Andre. She says it's time to go out.
Yeah. So with that, I would like to say thanks for everyone for joining us today. Be sure to check back again later for Toxic Femininity. I haven't heard.
Actually, no, it's not tonight because Nina is going to be out of town. So
okay.
We are taking this week off, but then we are up and running again next week. And in
Perfect.
fact, I seen Force of Light in the chat. I believe one of those ladies, if not both of them, is supposed to be joining us on a future episode here.
That is fantastic.
Future.
I love it whenever Force of Light joins.
Yes,
because they're awesome.
Yes.
So check out Force of Light Entertainment anyway.
Yes, I saw them in the chat earlier. I don't know if it was Michelle or Natalie, but hello. And Hyperguyver2 says, good luck diving into anime. I'll be there to make sure you don't dive too deep, too fast.
We appreciate that. Like,
well, thank you, Hyperguyver.
Someone needs to like hold the lifeline. Make sure we don't get too fast.
In that picture, he does look like a more conserved Judge Dredd. You know, he's got the coffee and he's not like overly aggressive, but he's got, you know, a little pissed off look on his face.
No, well, it should be.
Yeah, not as bad as like I am the law, you know, kind of shit. But yeah. With that, it is time for, as they say,
koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koala, koala. Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koala, koala. Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain.
Miguel Farah sends in a last-minute super chat. Drought wombats arise. Yes. Thank you so much, Miguel.
Yes, and with that, the koalas are already wet, so we bid you all farewell.